Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. What if Naruto had Serena as his closest sister? Movie. Come on, hits gotta be faster than that. A young boy of the age of 8 said, dodging under a white flamed cartwheel. This young boy was the third youngest of Minato Namikaze, the Sinnoh region's Thunder Gym, and Kushina Uzumaki, the top coordinator of Hoenn. His name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. He was a mix of both of his parents. Like his father, his hair was spiky and he sported a sun-kissed tan. And like his mother, he had the long hair and royal purple eyes. But unknown to his parents and siblings, he was chosen by Arceus to be her successor and king. At a young age he had heart problems preventing him from becoming a trainer like his sisters Elsa and Skyla. Blocking a punch from a black-furred chimchar with a scar running over her right eye, as both were a deep crimson with a white flame at her rear. He swung his leg out, sending her into the lake, making him laugh as the odd-colored fire starter sputtered, "Damn it baby, I almost had you." "Ha, that's a laugh. Hits the day you win against Naru-kun is the day I turn into a Ninetales," a gray and black-furred Riolu said with a pair of armbands around her paws. This is Kagutsuchi, a Riolu he found along with her best friend and rival Hits when he was 4. You see, unlike psychics who understand thoughts, he understood the Pokemon's actual dialect and could communicate with them. His parents never took the time to teach him the basics of Pokemon. Instead, that was left to learning from his godfather Professor Rowan and godmother Professor Juniper, both of whom taught him everything that involved Pokemon, from the history to the scientific field and everything in between. And from a young age he took everything they had to say to heart. They realized he was a young genius and decided to test him by gathering their fellow colleagues and had them watch over him as he took a test written by each of them to see if he was knowledgeable. It was safe to say he was, as he got over 100% on each of their tests. As such, they allowed him to gain the title of professor in training till Rowan and Juniper were satisfied with his results to grant him full claim. Which he did 2.5 years later, after finding several odd stones that had the DNA of several Pokemon, 2 of which were Kagutsuchi and his third Pokemon. "Do you two mind? I was in the middle of reading," a black-toned Ralts asked. This was Chris, short for Chrysanthemum. She was another odd-colored Pokemon he had saved from a wild Puccina, though her skirt was already tattered. "Ah, that's all you ever do is read, Chris. Sure, you're the strongest in the special attack and defense range, but you gotta work on your speed or all that skill won't do you any good," Hits said, shaking the water off of her fur. "No, she also likes to imagine all the kinky," Kagutsuchi would have continued unless Chris clamped her hand over her mouth, turning red. Naruto sat on the sidelines, showing his tanned skin with long spiky red hair with silvery white streaks going through it. His eyes were a peculiar color, as the sclera, though small, was a light purple in color, while his eyes, a mix between royal purple and sapphire blue, had a light hazel haze going through them. He was wearing his usual training clothing consisting of sweatpants and a muscle shirt, showing off his six-pack, while his hair was pulled back into a ponytail. The young man had become their mate, although they haven't done the act yet, as they agreed upon him becoming an official trainer, as he wanted to get the fine-tuning done on some devices of his. He had trained all Pokemon he's come across to push them beyond their normal limitations and excel to that where a single hit of a super effective move would knock them out easily, thanks to Arceus, who taught him how to create pocket dimensions that will let them train for so long inside with so little time changing outside in his dreams. Falling back, he landed on the soft grass in the clearing as Hits took comfort on his stomach, while Kagutsuchi and Chris took a shoulder as they listened to various Pokemon that resided in the forest. Today was to celebrate his 2 sisters winning in the respective regions they went to. Skyla went to Hoenn, while Elsa decided to stay in Sinnoh to see where their father was born. He chose not to attend for the fact that it would only be his parents, the other gym leaders and members of the Hoenn and Sinnoh League, talking to one another, sharing battle tips or bragging about how little trainers got their badges. Even though today was also the celebration of his birthday as well, like always the simplest of things were overshadowed by his sisters. He loved his sisters dearly. They were the only blood relatives he enjoyed being around, though their love for him went past that of a brotherly sisterly bond. For them he wasn't their little brother, but the person they loved more than anything. Though it wasn't like it would be considered incest, as the DNA in him was more Pokemon whipping out the threads that could trace them as family. It seems as though his sisters, the professors and his godparents were the only ones to acknowledge his birth. From Skyla he got the newest in communication technology, the X transceiver in black, with her and his Elise's numbers programmed into it. And from Elisa herself he got a necklace with a cubic-style lightning bolt with a yellow, cobalt and sapphire embedded on stainless steel acting as the lightning bolt itself. From Juniper she got him a guitar to play music while Rowan got him a violin, knowing he had a love for all instruments in general. The other professors gave him books on the other fields concerning Pokemon. He reached for the guitar and began to play. Oh namikaze home oh. Sigh. Professor Rowan and Juniper told us about their godson, but I don't see the little guy. Where could he be? I thought he would have wanted to get to know so many gym leaders, possibly get some tips. A tall woman with blonde hair. This was the champion of the Sinnoh region, Cynthia. She was told by the professor who gave her the Pokédex long ago when she first started about his godson, when his colleague Professor Juniper also mentioned him. They were talking about him being lonely and a lover of Pokemon, intended after Pokemon who were abused and forsaken. She was hoping she could give him tips to get him motivated to strive for excellence and to see the world. Cynthia, you see the kid? Her other colleague Flint asked. Flint was the leader of the fire gym of Sinnoh and was also excited to meet the kid, hearing about someone so young tending and caring for the injured and giving them a place to belong when they have nowhere to call home. She shook her head, making him scratch his head as he saw his childhood friend with his wife talking to their friends. Hey Minato, you see Naruto? Professor Rowan wanted us to see him. The old man had a lot of positive things to say about the kid. I wanted to see the kid for myself, he said, getting a nonchalant shrug. Haven't seen him, he said, turning his attention back to the others, shocking his friends at how little care he has for one of his children. Making him shake his head, he said as he reached Cynthia, who was talking to Aaron, the bug trainer and a member of the Sinnoh League's Elite Four. He is a new member who joined at the age of 19. Hey guys, check out what I found in the kids' room, he said, showing a series of folders labeled Studies of Evolution and Types, while another was labeled New Pokemon Types in Different Regions. As they looked underneath the titles of both folders, something shocked them, by Professor Naruto. Reading a few pages, they were surprised as Aaron said, I know, I had the same look, and the kid had more folders scattered all around his room. Though when I went upstairs I thought I heard something come from outside. Nodding, the three of them went out the back as they walked through the forest, hearing a guitar as words drifted through the air. Oh with Naruto oh. Watching as his friends danced in time with his music, he couldn't help but smile as they danced listlessly to the drifting tune. From age 4 to age 8 he's met so many Pokemon that loved to be near him, as he gave off a nurturing and calming aura from the most ferocious to the most tame. All enjoyed being within his reach. Stopping abruptly, he said, You can come out. I know you're there. The three behind the tree a few feet to his left stepped out to show the gym leader and the two members of the Elite Four. Interesting for two members of the Elite Four and Sinnoh's own fire gym leader Flint to grace me with their presence. What do you want? The look on his face was that of profession as his three companions stood with him, glaring at them as if daring them to make a move against him. Calm down, kid. Professor Rowan and Juniper told us about you and we really wanted to see what you were like. Though I expected to see you in the house, Flint said, getting a grunt as he sat back against the tree as they sat with him on his shoulders and head. He nodded with a grunt. I don't like listening to people brag about how little the amount of badges they gave away. Or how people don't give their Pokemon the respect they deserve, as they did all the work while their trainer sits pretty on the sidelines. They flinched at the chill in his voice as Cynthia said, Not all trainers are like that, you know. In fact, your godparents wanted us to meet you. We were hoping we could ask you a few questions. He shrugged as he rubbed Chris's head gently, getting a happy cry. You can ask, though depending on what it is I may not answer. They nodded as Flint was the first to ask, Why aren't you celebrating with your parents as they celebrate your sister's success? The boy shrugged. As I said earlier, I don't like listening to people brag about how few people got their badge. And I already told my sisters congratulations, as they have told me happy birthday. Aaron was next. Today's your birthday. How come nobody was told? He shrugged. Whenever Minato and Kushina do something, it's only involved my sisters, as have been pushed in the shadows since I was 3. Frowning, Cynthia asked, Why don't you address them as your parents? Why give a title to somebody that they haven't earned? They barely raised me till I was 3 and left the job to my godparents to do it ever since. I tried to be involved in my family's events, but I was always pushed aside. Elisa's fashion shows, Skyla's performances, parties thrown by them, and I would get the same response. You'd distract them, Naruto. Go to your room, Naruto. Same thing every time. And whenever my birthday came they would brush it aside. The last gift I ever got from them was a map of the Hoenn region and 2 stuffed toys of Kyogre and Groudon, he said, making them frown, especially with how little emotion he showed. Flint thought, Minato Kushina, you two really fucked up. Recovering, he asked, alright Naruto, how about this? He continued, although Kushina and I are on friendly terms, I just don't see her as a mother, as she hasn't done anything to categorize herself as a mother. At least she would give me money or greet me. Even a gift every now and again, but a motherly role. No, nothing of the sort. Satisfied with that, Flint pulled out the 2 folders and asked, what are these about? And why are you called Professor? He shrugged. Well, for the second I am called Professor because I became one when I became a professor in training, when I officially became one a month ago when presented my thesis on possible evolutions and the change in regions. Pointing to them, he said, what you're holding is my updated research. Over the years since man, Pokemon would evolve from different situations, change in weather, different time zones, he bond a Pokemon has for their trainer. An example would be a Phoebus turning into a Melodic. In Hoenn it evolves when its beauty would be maxed out and traded to another trainer, when in Sinnoh the truth is it wasn't the beauty that was important but the scale they would gather deep underwater. Nodding, he continued, now what if a select few Pokemon had an additional transformation, a side evolution if you will. Once they absorb the stone into their DNA they have access to the transformation back when it was common and then change back after combat. This is a process I call Mega Evolution. Astonished, Flint asked, what Pokemon are capable of this? Naruto shrugged, saying, it's still a fresh process I've come across. One thing that needs to be possible is that your Pokemon and you must have a deep bond of faith and trust to unlock the block that keeps them from gaining the instinct from using it. Also, judging from the quality of the stones when I found them, they're pretty hard to find or people passes them off as simple rocks. Checking his X-transceiver and saw the time, he said, hey, do you think we can have this conversation after we stop by the Pokemon Center? I gotta get some supplies to make Pokemon food. They nodded as they made their way back to Naruto's home. He went up to his room, showered and came back down wearing a pair of black jeans with gray sneakers along with a white shirt under an open long-sleeved black jacket with twin red lines coming from the arms with a tribal design of Giratina in its origin form on the back with the lightning bolt necklace over his shirt. As they walked out the front door he saw his 2 older sisters smiling at him, which he returned, making the 3 accompanying him smile, knowing he isn't cold to the entire world. Naruto, where are you heading off to? Elisa asked with a raised eyebrow, making him chuckle. I got some things to pick up from the Pokemon Center. I'll be back shortly, he said, getting a worried glance from his other sister Skyla. Are you sure? The last time you said that you went out of your way to help a swarm of Kakana that fell from a tree when you were attacked by a pack of Ariadoses, you were poisoned for 3 days, she said, making him chuckle. I promise I'll be fine. Besides, you know me, I help those who need it, he said, walking away after hugging them both, getting a slight blush from the 2 which went unnoticed by the 3 following him and him included. He thought to Chris and the others who were inside their Pokeballs, did you smell that? Chris responded, yes, it smelled like a Pokemon, but they had them held in their Pokeballs and it seemed strong. Stronger than an ordinary Pokemon, this is peculiar. Kagutsuchi also nodded. I agree, whatever those 2 are, they're powerful, but why hide as humans? And why do we just now sense it? Hit stated, I don't know, but am I the only one who noted the scent was similar to Naruto's? Same for that Cynthia chick. He shrugged it off, filing it for later as he and his group made a quick walk towards the Pokemon Center. When just going through the previous town he saw something that made his blood boil. The both of you are useless. A trainer said, kicking a little Trapinch that was silver in color and a little Charmander that was completely black with a black flame on its tail, and both were in bad shape. The Charmander was conscious as she held onto the Trapinch, who had already fainted. Tackling the trainer, Naruto yelled, what the hell is wrong with you? Pulling the kid up by his shirt he said, what the hell has possessed you to harm Pokemon, you bastard? As he pulled himself free he said, what's it to you? These 2 have been nothing but a problem for me since I caught them. Not once have they won a single battle. Growling, Naruto said, and that gives you the right to harm these Pokemon. Fine, let's make a wager. You have 3 Pokemon on you. How about a 3-on-3? You leave those 2 out of the fight. I win, you leave your Pokemon with me, and I turn you into Officer Jenny for Pokemon abuse. Narrowing his eyes he said, And what happens when I win? Growling he said, if you win I leave you on your merry little way, which let me remind you will not be happening. The kid smirked saying, fine loser, let's go, what are the rules? Calming down slightly he said, it's simple, a 3-on-3 battle. Neither side is able to switch unless the Pokemon fighting is unable to continue. When one side is out of Pokemon the trainer loses. We will have one of them act as ref. He turned to see Eren walk forward, I'll act as ref for the match. Naruto stood on one side of the rockland while the random trainer stood on the other. Hey kid, what's your name? Mike, and prepare to lose, he said, bringing out a Pokeball as Naruto did the same, slipping on a pair of sunglasses. The match between Naruto and Mike will now begin. As stated, this will be a 3-on-3 battle. When one side is unable to battle, the fight is over. The rules are simple, no substitutions or outside interference. Should someone break one of these rules, then the battle will be considered a forfeit, with the one who didn't will be the winner. Trainers, present your first Pokemon, he said. Go Staravia, show him who's boss. Chris, leave no trace. The two trainers tossed out their Pokemon as Naruto's opponent and the three accompanying him were awed by the rare coloration on his first Pokemon. She looked at her opponent, then to Naruto, saying, are you kidding me, hun? He chuckled saying, I know, but this is important. This guy has been abusing his Pokemon. You could see a scowl on its face, making him get serious as he pressed a button on the side of his glasses. This is one of his inventions, the status glasses. It acts as a reader to show the wearer the condition of the Pokemon he's battling and their level. If they're your Pokemon, it will show a Pokeball near along with its moves. Narrowing his eyes he thought, now let's see what you've got. The display read as he looked towards Chris first. Chrysanthemum. Ralts condition. Perfect. Type. Psychic Fairy. LV. 15 Gender. Female. Moves. Psyshock. Calm Mind. Thunderbolt. Energy Ball. Turning his sights to the airborne Staravia, making him scowl. Staravia. Type. Normal. Flying. LV. 10 Gender. Female. Condition. Poor. He scowled, saying telepathically, Chris, be careful with her, she's in poor condition. Same could possibly be said for his other Pokemon too. She nodded as the trainer said, Staravia, start things off with gust and send that little rag doll airborne. Naruto snapped his two fingers as she focused a surge of electricity at her opponent and sent it at the bird, letting it fall. How did you do that? Grr, get up you damn bird and use aerial ace, he shouted as the injured Staravia staggered as it flew into the air when it made a downward descent at high speeds as Naruto snapped his fingers twice, slowly making it jump over the bird, sending a low-powered thunderbolt at the bird, knocking it out. Winner of the first fight is Naruto and Chris. Mike, please send out your next Pokemon. Naruto, do you wish to switch out Pokemon? Eren asked as the trainer was about to send out his second Pokemon. He turned to Chris, who stood there bored out of her mind, making him say, no, we'll continue. The trainer smirked, tossing Puccina, making Naruto frown at what he read. Puccina. LV. 12 Gender. Male. Type. Dark. Condition. Poor. Get ready to lose, use bite. He ordered the already weak Puccina to charge at the bored Ralts as she awaited Naruto's next order. Chris, wait till the last minute and jump, firing an energy ball. He said, getting a nod, waiting for it to inch closer as its teeth were showing. NOW. He ordered, making her nod, jumping over the dog, firing an energy ball into the back of his head, making it tumble. Now while it's down, use Thunderbolt, he said as she sent a bolt of electricity from her hand as it hit dead on, causing an explosion, revealing an unconscious Puccina, making Mike go irate. Winner of the second fight is Naruto and Chris. Fighter, please send out your next Pokemon, Eren said. Oh, sidelines, oh. Wow, this kid is good. Even though he had the type disadvantage against his opponent, they still won without taking damage, Flint said, getting a nod from Cynthia. I know, but what I don't understand is every time the boy sends out a new Pokemon he frowned. What could those glasses be showing him? She asked, eyeing Naruto with a small blush as Flint looked at her from the corner of his eye. You felt it too coming from the kid, he said, getting a wide-eyed look. How did you? She started, only to get a hand to the face. Cynthia, I'm no fool even though I act like one. I know you're not normal just like the kid. And from the way his sisters acted, same for them. What has you four connected I don't know, but I do know is that you feel something for the kid. And let's be honest, when the kid is old enough to go out alone as a trainer, he's viewed as an adult to the world, he said. How did you know? She asked. It's simple, Cynthia. I've been your friend as long as we've been Monatos. Monato and I have grown in age, yet you haven't in the slightest. Then there is the fact that your aura is stronger than that of a human who's sensitive to aura, or that of a regular Pokemon. As I said, you're bad at covering your tracks, but I'll keep my mouth shut, he said, turning back to the battle as she did the same. Flint, thank you, she said, getting a pat on the back, making her smile. Oh, back to the fight. Oh. Trainer, send out your last Pokemon. Aaron repeated, making the trainer comply as he threw out to Naruto's surprise a white Sneasel with black claws and feet with a gray tail feather at her tail matching the color of her ear. She looked worse for wear. Sneasel. Type: Dark Ice. Gender: female. LV: 10. Condition: poor. Naruto frowned as he thought to the Sneasel, do you like having this man as your partner? The Sneasel jolted, only for Naruto to respond quickly, don't react, just think I'm the trainer you're fighting against. I found your trainer abusing a Trapinch and Charmander, so I decided to apprehend him. I'm going to give the Pokemon a choice if they want to stay with me, so I can tend to them, or leave them with a professor who can take care of you all. The Sneasel thought, yes, please save me from this hell. The man is a monster. He nodded, thinking, Chris, you hear all that? She nodded, getting ready. Please, love, you're always the bleeding heart, but that's what we love about you. Stay on your toes, she's a slippery one, he said, getting a nod. Sneasel, use Shadow Claw, her trainer commanded as she ran, and almost in an instant was in front of Chris, making the two of them go wide-eyed. Chris, take it, he said, knowing the attack would be too quick to dodge as she was slashed at by the claw. With her being part fairy, the damage wasn't so severe as it normally would. Sending her flying, she got up, brushing herself off. He said, Chris, use Calm Mind and fire off a round of energy balls. She complied as the area went silent save for a single drop of water. She took aim and fired several volleys as each landed before her trainer could give a counter command, sending her flying into a tree, leaving swirls in her eyes. The winner is Naruto, Aaron said as Naruto walked towards Mike. A deal's a deal. Give me your trainer information and hand over your Pokeballs, Naruto said as the boy was about to comply, till he slugged Naruto across the jaw, making him skid back as he ran. Oh no, you don't, you little shit, Naruto said, running after him. Thanks to his physical training, he quickly caught him as he tackled the boy to the ground, reaching into his back pocket, pulling out some zip ties, locking his hands together as he reached into the boy's pockets, showing a flipping Pokédex that was blue and his Pokemon's Pokeballs, while the ones for the Trapinch and Charmander were already destroyed. The Pokédex's information said, Trainer ID, Mike Sampson. Region of birth, Hoenn, Twin Root Town. Age, 12. Trainer license, beginner. Professor license, N.A. Breeder license, N.A. Pokemon Ranger license, N.A. Badges, 0. Pokemon seen, 12. Entering the police's number on his X transceiver, he called when the face of Officer Jenny appeared. Hello, Officer Jenny of Sinnoh here. What is the emergency? Yes, Officer Jenny, this is Professor Naruto, he said. Ah, Professor Naruto, it's great to hear from you. What seems to be the problem? I came across a trainer who has been abusing his Pokemon for quite some time, from what I've gathered, and need you to take him to prison until Professor Rowan returns to deal with him. I've already taken his Pokemon and am on the way to get his Pokemon treated for immediate aid. She nodded. I'll be there right away. The signal went dead, making him cut his connection as he told Flint to keep an eye on him to make sure he doesn't go anywhere as he walked towards the two seriously injured Pokemon, as Charmander sent a threatening glare his way as he made his way near her. Stay away, he heard the Charmander roar as she struggled to stand in front of Trapinch. He raised his hands while taking off the glasses, putting them in his pants pocket. It's okay, I'm not going to hurt either of you. I'm just going to get you and the rest medical attention, okay? Not trusting him, she sent a wave of black fire at him. Stay away. He took the brunt of the fire at his arm, making him skid back as his shirt was burnt, with his skin showing signs of third-degree burns. He thought, damn, those flames could burn steel. Thank goodness for Arceus teaching me how to change my type. Naruto. Flint yelled, about to run forward, until Naruto raised his good arm. It's fine, keep an eye on that guy. He continued to walk forward as he said, it's all right, see, I mean neither you nor your friend any harm. Will you let me get you all help? Her growls started to soften until he had her and Trapinch in his arm as he shifted her to his shoulder while holding Trapinch in his good arm, chuckling lightly as she licked his face. I'm sorry, she said, getting a soft smile. It's all right. I know you were just being defensive over your friend. Now let's get you all to a Pokemon Center, he said as he placed the guys' Pokemon into their respective Pokeballs and turned towards Flint and the others who had a worried expression. I'm fine guys, it's just some minor burning. Nothing a little salve and medicine can't fix, he said, sitting next to Cynthia as he used his good hand to gently rub Trapinch's head, getting a soft sigh making him smile. Plucking a blade of grass from the earth, he placed Charmander next to Trapinch as he played a tune on the blade of grass, attracting all the Pokemon in the forest to their location with gentle smiles as their eyes were closed, listening to the soft sounds. Flint and Aaron listened to the music with their eyes closed, while Cynthia looked at Naruto with a loving glance as she watched various small Pokemon take a spot around Naruto. Small flying types rested in his hair while the others either took refuge on his lap or somewhere close to him. She thought, it seems he is the one, Lady Arceus. I can't wait to see what he looks like when he's older and passes my test. The sound of an engine overtook the soft sound of his flute, making the Pokemon disperse quickly as he saw Officer Jenny roll in on her motorcycle as she stopped in front of them. Ah, Naruto, this the guy? She asked, getting a nod. Yes, this is him, officer. I have all his information right here. His name is Mike Sampson from Twin Root Town in Hoenn. He's a beginner trainer with 0 badges, Naruto said, listing off several things as she jotted them down. She grabbed the boy and placed him in the sidecar, saying, "Thank you so much, Professor. I will make sure he's held in containment until Rowan returns." He nodded as she drove off while grabbing Charmander, placing her back on his shoulder along with Chris as she rested in her Pokeball while gently grabbing Trapinch with his good arm. Come on, the Pokemon Center is just a little away from here, he said, getting a nod from the others as they began to continue their trek. Oh, Pokemon Center, oh. After the exhausting run towards the Pokemon Center, he saw Nurse Joy about to walk into the back and said, "Nurse Joy." Getting her attention, she turned around and saw Naruto. As she was about to greet him, she saw his injured Pokemon. My word, what happened to these Pokemon? I saw a trainer beating these two, so confiscated them and the rest of his Pokemon to make sure they got the proper care they needed. We should hurry, the two of them received some pretty serious injuries, he said, getting a nod as she had two Chansey. Turning to one, she said, "Take these Pokemon and put them in the ER right away." It nodded as she took the Charmander, Trapinch and the other Pokeballs he had and put them on a cart as she carted them off. And you make sure he gets medical attention for his arm. Arceus knows how his sisters are going to react if they see him like that, she said as the other nursing Pokemon complied, as it was common knowledge that his sisters were like mother hens and always harped over his well-being. Guiding him to a couch, she placed him down as she started healing his arm as the burns started to vanish slowly. The process took about an hour to finish when the light in the Pokemon Center went off as Nurse Joy walked out. "How are they?" he asked as she sighed in exhaustion. "It was a miracle you helped them when you did. The Trapinch was on the verge of death when you saved it." The other Pokemon also had cases of malnourishment with improperly healed injuries which stunted their fighting abilities. "What are you going to do with them?" she said. "I thought you would know me by now. I'm going to ask them when they wake up if they want to stay with me, or I can send them to a professor who can care for them, seeing as I don't have a ranch they can live in for the time being," he said, getting a nod. "All right, they will be awake in a couple of hours. If you don't mind waiting for a moment, I can let you see them afterwards," she said, getting a nod. "I would like that very much. Also, I am here to pick up some Pokemon food I placed down for delivery," he said as she went to her counter, returning with a large box as she placed it on the wooden table. "If I can just get your information to verify this, Naruto," she said, getting a nod as he drew his card from his pocket as she went back to her desk, running it through. "All right, thank you, Naruto. I'll let you know when they're awake. For the time being, rest your arms is still hurt," she said, getting a nod as he let his Pokemon out of their Pokeball. "Well, girls, if Chris hasn't already told you, we're possibly getting new friends to have around, and I need you all to welcome them with open arms. They've dealt with an abusive trainer and will be hesitant at first, so take things slow with them," he said, getting cries of acknowledgement. "Hey, Naruto," Cynthia said, making him raise an eyebrow. "What's up, Cynthia?" he asked. "What's with those Pokeballs? I've never seen a model like those before, she said, making the others look closer at them and saw they weren't like the standard Pokeballs trainers used. This ball was black with a white core and lines spreading outward. These are my own models. I've made them when I heard from Professor Oak about an organization using a dark Pokeball to remove their inhibitions, filling them with strength while giving them dark desires. Mine is a countermeasure, the Twilight Ball, he said, showing it. Interested, she asked. Twilight Ball. He nodded. The Twilight Ball, much like the world between light and darkness, balances out a Pokemon. While the Dark Ball fills it with darkness, the Twilight Ball fills it with the power of light and darkness, helping to unlock a Pokemon's untapped potential, though you still have to train a Pokemon. After all, nothing is free. They were quite interested when they asked more about them. He said that they were in the prototype stage and there are quite a few bugs he's got to work out. The four continued to chat as they asked Naruto about what he dreamed of doing when he was old enough to go out on his own and such, while he asked them what they've done since their time starting out as beginners. He was interested as they talked about the different strategies they've come up with for training and how they got the idea to reach where they are today. They asked him what he intended to do when he was older, as he responded, I intend to become a champion and to host my own Pokemon tournament. The largest Pokemon tournament the world has ever known. A place where all trainers, beginner and advanced, can test their mettle to see how far they've come. Flint raised an eyebrow and said, that seems like a pretty big goal there, kid. Something that grand will require a lot of resources and funding to make possible, at the most a few years. He nodded. I know. It's going to take some time. I've already started saving up from the various research projects I've done and the products I've sold. Products? Aaron asked, getting a smirk as he pointed to the X transceiver and the glasses. Yup, I've worked with the company who made the X transceiver and sold them the rights as co-ownership, with the profits going 60-40 in my favor. Although I am considering a new design as the small screen is inconvenient. These are another prototype I'm working on after getting the idea of snagging a poacher's visor. He placed the glasses along with several others in various fashions. What do they do? Cynthia asked, holding a pair that looked like a pair of Ray-Bans. Once connected to the wearer's Pokédex, the user can use these to show a Pokemon's condition of health, their type, their level and gender. It will also record they've seen data onto your Pokédex without the need to take it out and show if you have caught the Pokemon or not. It's still in its experimental phase, but these will be my next biggest product, though the size has much to be desired. I might try a contact lens as the finalized product, I don't know for certain, he said, shrugging. My word, how do you have the time to work on all of these? Aaron asked with a raised eyebrow. The boy shrugged as Nurse Joy came in, saying, you can come in and speak to them now, though you may want to be gentle with them as they're still recovering. He nodded as he turned to the others. You all want to come? They shook their head as the Sinnoh champion said, it's fine, you can go, we will wait out here. He nodded, walking through the corridor. Oh, Pokemon, oh. The 5 Pokemon he had rescued were resting in their beds, awake as they watched Naruto walk into the room. Knock knock, hope you 5 don't mind a guest, he said jokingly, getting tackled by the Trapinch as it hopped into his lap as he fell back. Unprepared for the unexpected movement, he fell back with the Trapinch in his arms as she continued to say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saving us. He laughed good-naturedly as he got up with Trapinch in his arms, saying, no need to thank me. I can't stand people abusing their Pokemon. Gives us real trainers a bad name. Though I have to ask, are you all right? They all nodded, making him smile as they said they either had some bruises or injuries resetting. He said, well, as your friend Sneasel here might have told you all, I was going to offer you all a new life. You can either join me as one of my Pokemon, where you will be happier. Or I could send you to someone who can give you a better life without having to deal with a trainer like your last one. Staravia chose to go with his second option, just like the Poochyena, while the Sneasel, Charmander and Trapinch agreed to stay with him, making him pull out 3 spare Twilight Balls as he gently tapped them on the head, letting the Pokeballs shake till a soft chime was heard. Letting him smile at the others, all right, you two. Till I can get in touch with someone I know who can look out for you properly, Poochyena. Staravia, I know the perfect trainer who can look after you. She adores flying types. She gave a sharp cry as she flew onto his shoulder while he was going to pick up Poochyena, saying, come on boy, I'm going to take you home with me. He hopped into his arms, licking his face as he left while the two left the hospital room. OO Pokemon Center Lobby OO. Walking in, he checked the Pokemon out in his care as he grabbed the supplies he meant to get and said, "Alright guys, I got what I needed." Cynthia asked, Naruto, what are you going to do with them?" Holding Puccina in his arms still, he shrugged, shifting the box under his other arm. "Well, Sneasel, Trapinch and Charmander chose to stay with me. I'm going to give Staravia here to my sister to look after, and Puccina here. I don't know, I may keep him as a pet if he isn't up for battling, or we could go for contests." They nodded as Naruto grabbed his stuff while leaving. He missed three figures fade behind the trees into nothingness while walking away. "Oh Namikaze home oh. Naruto." They heard as H turned to see his sisters running after him, catching that strong scent coming from the two of them, and oddly enough Cynthia as well. "Hey guys. Oh Skyla, I got you a new friend. She's been abused and needs someone who will keep her company. I was thinking you could," he said as Staravia flew from his shoulder and onto Skyla's padded shoulder as it nuzzled against her cheek. They saw his injuries as they fussed over him while Elisa slapped him upside the head with a frightening glare with an undercast of worry while Skyla casted him a worried glance. Elisa said, "I thought you told us you'd be careful." He softly rubbed the back of his head saying, "In my defense, a Pokemon trainer was abusing his Pokemon and I wasn't going to stand for it." Her eyes softened as she brought him into a hug saying, "Alright you red-headed idiot. I swear you and Skyla can be so amazing yet so stupid at the same time, it amazes me." Said Redheads gave an indignant, "Hey. It's the truth and the two of you know it," she responded, making the two huff, turning their heads to the side. As Cynthia and the others checked their watches, they saw the time saying, "Wow, time really flew. We gotta get going, we've got to prepare for the next league competition to start in a few months, so we'll be seeing you all. Tell your parents we're sorry we couldn't stick around." All three left as Naruto and the others dispersed in the house as the other gym leaders and such had left already, with his father not even acknowledging him again as usual while saying good night to his sisters and mother. He and the others turned in with all of his Pokemon were all collected on his bed, with each of them unaware of the coming days. OO Chamber OO. Report. Lugia. Raikou, Giratina, Mewtwo. What do you think of our chosen? A large equine shape asked in a feminine voice said. A image of a dog next to her sisters said, "He's started showing signs of activating his lineage, it just takes one more push to make it possible." The equine asked, "And his care for Pokemon?" The large bird said happily, "He's very tender and loving towards Pokemon. Just today Raikou and I just saw him fight a trainer who was abusing his Pokemon and took them to receive immediate attention. He's a caring soul for all Pokemon, much like yourself, Lady Arceus." She nodded, turning to the stoic two-legged Chateau as she asked, "Just a question, if we're all to be his mates, why is it I had to be the one to bear him? With a filthy human no less. The man is an arrogant fool who shows favoritism yet has contempt for him." Giratina cut in, "And yet you show our future husband kindness even though he is partially human until he is of age." She growled, "Nobody asked you, Giratina. I only show him kindness because I feel a bond towards him. I would have confronted him if I wasn't the bastard's wife." The second largest serpentine Pokemon with 6 appendage-like wings said, rolling her large red and black ringed eyes said, "Please, you've held a soft spot for him since he came from your womb and you know it. Though I came across some information that will prove to be interesting." This caught all the figures' attention as she continued, "He apparently wants to make a large Pokemon tournament that will be a multi-staged event with trainers of all skill entering to see how far they've come and fight against one another in various situations to see how they handle the ability to act under stress. This does seem interesting. How long do you think it would take for him to accomplish this?" The Queen asked, getting Giratina to do what could be seen as a shrug. "I do not know, my lady. All I do know is that it will take some time to get the whole event planned out and will take a lot of money to help organize the event. From what he said, at the most it will take a couple of years, but he said he would wait after he completed the league he would attend," she said, getting a questioning tilt of the head from what appeared to be two plane-like figure next to the other. "What league was he going to attend?" The shortest of the two as she was answered. "He said he was going to attend where the Queen of Fairies and the Queen of the Dark Skies reside," she said, getting an understanding look from the Queen. "He's going to Kalos. Rayquaza, aren't you going there with that young man in a few years as well?" she asked, getting a nod from a large wingless serpent. "Yes, mother, but he's such a little kid. He goes at things guns a-blazing and doesn't think of a plan once things get hectic, she said, getting a snicker from a tiny floating cat like Chateau. "Aw, calm down sis, he's kind enough. Hell, I'm sure Naruto and Ash will become great friends," she said, getting a nod from the Queen of Pokemon as she said, "That concludes today's meeting. Soon we shall each administer a test for our chosen when his journey begins. If he passes each of our tests we will become his. You can make the test whatever way you want, but they must be fair and only he and his Pokemon can be involved." "Understood?" she asked, getting a series of cries in approval. She nodded as she said, "All right. Then this meeting is adjourned." Everyone bowed as they each faded away after taking on a human form, with Raikou taking on the familiar form of a twin-tailed blonde female as she vanished in a clap of thunder. Lugia took the form of an aviation pilot as she jumped in the air, disappearing in a burst of wind. Rayquaza took the form of a short girl with her hair being long as it was held with two pigtails as she did a spin as she jumped gracefully into the stratosphere. Giratina took the form of a familiar blonde with twin hair ties. She shook her head, vanishing in a dark portal showing a distorted version of Naruto's town, or more specifically his room, as she stood in a full-body mirror in front of his bed showing the red head sleeping as the portal closed. While Mewtwo turned into a tall, pale, red-headed woman with cold purple eyes looked at the reflection of Naruto before they warmed as she vanished in a flash of light, with Naruto none the wiser. "Naruto, it's time to wake up or we'll be late for our plane to Kalos," a soft voice said to a sleeping redhead as he nuzzled against a black-furred infernape with a gray stomach and tail with white flames on its head, as it had several parts of her body being guarded by red plates on her hands, chest, knees and shoulders. This boy was Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, Arceus's chosen, and today is the day he starts his journey to Kalos, or it would be if he could wake up. 5 more minutes, Chris. "Yay Chris, he's so comfy," the infernape said, holding his head against her breast until the two of them were hit by a lightning bolt. The offending Pokemon who hit them was a tall Gardevoir, where the green was supposed to be. Instead she was an onyx black color who had a not so happy look on her menacing red eyes that hid behind the wired framed lens of her glasses as she gripped her book in one hand while her other hand has outstretched, crackling with black electricity. "Hits you horny bitch, if you're going to pull that crap, wait until we make a decent mark in Kalos by winning a badge first. Please." The black Gardevoir Chrysanthemum begged as a white Weavile, Tsukiyumi, a silvery gray Flygon, Kazel, a white Lucario Kagutsuchi, and a black Charizard Amaterasu stalked forward. While on the side watching while glaring daggers at hits as she sweated uncomfortably from the glares was a girl wearing black short shorts, and a zip-up shirt that left her stomach bare while revealing cleavage. This was Kuroka, a Zoroark he found 4 years ago when it was just a Zorua abandoned in a forest crying. And a dark-skinned girl with cold red eyes and dark white hair with a black streak, wearing a sleeveless white fleece turtleneck and tight black leather jeans, wearing black shoes. This was Elysium, an Absol he found not too long ago when he left to get more Pokemon food so he would have enough for his journey when it came stumbling out of the forest. "Wait Naruto baby, don't leave me here in this den of leopards," Hits said as he walked into the shower as they converged on her. "Girls please. You would have done the same if it were you. Where's your sympathy?" Their eyes glowed red as they said at the same time, "There ain't no sympathy for the dead." He sighed, looking at the clock, seeing it read 5:45, making him sigh. He ran to the shower. Over the last 6+ years he grew not only in skill but in strength, not just the physical but the emotional as well. After speaking with Cynthia and the others, the three of them told their fellow gym leaders and champions about him and his life and goal. Physically he grew from 4 feet 9 to 5 feet 6 as his hair grew to his legs' length when he let it down, but if he didn't it was always in a ponytail that would hit the back of his knees. He walked out of the shower wearing a pair of black boxers with the towel around his neck. He walked by his full-length mirror and saw a flash for a second. As he looked back, seeing only his reflection, he thought, "I thought I just saw someone for a second, not just stayed up too late making sure I had all my gear packed." Walking to his closet he got changed into a pair of black jeans with 2 large black belts with slots on them to hold his Pokeballs, and had multiple pockets to hold a surplus other items. Picking another shirt, he grabbed a black long-sleeve shirt with an open black hooded jacket that had gray tribal design spread across his body. That's another thing he and the others have been experiencing. Every time they see someone they normally do, they pick up a strong defining scent and a silhouette of a Pokemon behind them as it vanished. The 5 he picked up came from his mom, his sisters and his newest friends Cynthia and Fantina, but he can't figure out heads or tails of it all. Another thing is that changed is that the three are more affectionate with him. Lingering kisses on the cheek, a long hug, sometimes they, his sisters, would sleep with him in his room. He packed enough of his clothes for their journey as he said, "All right girls, enough roughhousing, it's time we get a move on. We gotta get to Kalos and meet Professor Sycamore." The large dust cloud that was near his bed dispersed to show several perfectly content Pokemon and one horribly bruised twitching mess laying on the ground groaning as he shook his head. He took out his Pokeballs and had them returned to them while he fixed his bed and cleaned his room. He looked at his clock showing it said 6 a.m. even making him roll his eyes. He grabbed everything he would need: a set of headphones for his music player. He inserted his finished product, the Poke Contacts, his Holocaster, the Kalos region Pokédex in black, and all of his research. Walking out of his room, he made his way down the hall and said, "All right guys, I'll call you all when I get to Kalos." With his hand on the door he sighed, knowing they weren't even there. It was the usual for him during something important that involved him; they were never around. He simply locked up and walked towards the airport with his Pokemon comforting him mentally through their Pokeballs, making him smile knowing someone cares. He made it to the airport and saw Staraptor, the same Pokemon he gave his sister Skyla 4 years ago. As it grew to be an amazing flyer rubbing under her chin, she cooed, "Hey girl, how are you? Shouldn't you be with my sister in the skies?" She said, "Yes, but she, Elisa and Lady Kashina wanted me to give you this and a note." He noticed a note attached to one leg and a package tied closed tightly with string being gripped by her talons. As he took them from her he read, "Dear son. Sorry I couldn't be there to at least see you off on your journey. Your father said that this was more important than seeing off one of his children as they begin their first adventure. And here is something from Elisa, Skyla and I each, but we don't want you to open the packages until you touch down in Kalos, okay? Gotta go sweetie, and good luck, I know you'll do great. Love, Kashina." He smiled as he gently patted the large avian bird, saying, "All right, thank you Staraptor, I'll see you when I get back, okay?" She cried and flew off while he ran to his gate to board. While listening to his music he heard another plane fly by as he caught sight of his sister Skyla gesture to his Holocaster. Activating it, a 3D image of Skyla came on the other end. "Hey Naruto. Sorry I couldn't come to see you off in the traditional sense, my boss has been an ass lately. Anyways, in the box is something from me, Mom and Skyla. Don't open it until you land in Kalos. Got that, and call them both before you do. CYA Naruto, and show me lots of flying Pokemon, okay? Bye bye and good luck, though it isn't like you're going to need it or anything." She waved goodbye as she turned away, diving from the side as she made a U-turn to head back to Unova. He closed his eyes until the plane landed, which wouldn't be for another couple of hours. 5 hours later. This is your flight attendant speaking. If you could please return your seats to their upright position. We will now be making our descent into Lumiose City. Thank you for flying Cresselia Air, the flight attendant said as he did as he was told. When they landed he stretched as Chris, Hitz and Kagutsuchi came out of his Pokeball. As they walked through the town they got a lot of odd looks from other trainers when one stepped up and said, "Hey kid." He turned and said, "What? How about you give me those Pokemon? It's obvious that someone as pathetic as you won't do them any good," he said, getting a glare from his Pokemon as they shot the trainer a glare. As Naruto said, "I don't like it when trash call me out about my Pokemon, and if you want to lose against me fine, but don't cry when I win," Naruto said in an icy tone. Naruto turned to one of the boy's friends and asked, "One of you mind being the ref?" A girl a little older than him said, "I will. This will be funny watching this." As they walked to an empty park the two trainers stood to the side as the girl said, "This will be a 3-on-3 match between, kid, what's your name?" "Naruto Uzumaki," he said with his arms crossed as he and his Pokemon stood to the side getting wide-eyed looks from the other trainers. Between Naruto Uzumaki and Caleb Croft, when one side is unable to battle the fight will be over. "Trainers, send out your first Pokemon," she said. "Go Golurk, crush this brat. Kagutsuchi, leave nothing behind." As Naruto blinked the information came to his contact lenses as he heard a voice come from his headphones while looking at the two fighters. Golurk. Type: Ground Ghost. LV: 62. Gender: Male. Condition: Good. Kagutsuchi: Lucario. Type: Fighting Steel. LV: 65. Gender. Female. Condition. Perfect. Naruto smirked and said, if you're not going to make your move then I will. Kagutsuchi used agility then follow it up with Dark Pulse. Her muscles tensed as she vanished behind the large rock titan as it was hit from behind by a dark blast that echoed across the ground making it fly away. Golurk. The boy shouted as it was sent tumbling till the light in its eye turned off. Kagutsuchi appeared near Naruto with her arm around his neck smirking as the ref said astonished with a crowd growing, winner of the first match Naruto and Kagutsuchi. Naruto, would you like to switch Pokemon while Caleb sends out his next? Naruto looked at Kagutsuchi who shrugged as she swayed her hips plopping a seat next to the others as Hits ran to the front making him smirk at what she said, I've been itching for a fight. Come on, bring out whatever you got. Hits. Infernape. Type. Fire. Fighting. LV. 64. Gender. Female. Condition. Perfect. We're dying of old age over here, get a move on it. Naruto said as he gestured to Hits as she tapped her foot impatiently with an annoyed look on her face. Snapping out of his shock he threw out a three-headed Pokemon, Go Hydreigon, use Earthquake. Hydreigon. Type. Dragon. Dark. LV. 64. Gender. Male. Condition. Good. Use the tree to get in the air and get in close. He shouted as the ground started to shake. She was already in the tree as she got in close. Now Sky Uppercut. She jumped and delivered a uppercut to Hydreigon's main head making it rock back into a tree. Hydreigon used Dragon Pulse. The boy shouted as the smoke was cleared by a blue burst of energy that took the form of a dragon as it came flying. He snapped his fingers twice as the attack closer it exploded, haha. Not so hot now or ya. On the other side of the smoke Naruto's contact lenses glowed red as Naruto saw Hits resting pretty under the ground. He said, use Flamethrower. She came from underground behind the dragon hitting it in the back with a pressurized white flame as it crashed into the ground with Hits waiting at Naruto's side. When it cleared it showed the dragon unconscious as white flames licked its body. Winner of the second match Naruto and Hits, both fighters send out your next Pokemon. He looked at Hits as she tapped her chin a few times before nodding somersaulting over to Chris as she put her book down next to Kagutsuchi. Chrysanthemum. Gardevoir. Type. Psychic. Fairy. LV. 62. Gender. Female. Condition. Perfect. Ready for a fight? He asked her as she adjusted her glasses. You act as if this will be an actual fight, she said dully as they watched a two-legged purple frog come out. Go Toxicroak. Poison Jab, he said. Toxicroak. Type. Fighting. Poison. LV. 58. Gender. Male. Condition. Normal, he said telepathically. Chris, when he gets in close use Thunderbolt followed up by Psyshock. She nodded as when it was a few inches away she unleashed a strong surge of electricity came from her hand getting a pained cry from the toad when it was quickly hit by a purple burst of psychic energy sending it across the field near his trainer unconscious. She looked at him again and said, I repeat, you act as if that would have been a challenge. He chuckled while the trainer said, winner of the battle is Naruto Uzumaki from Sinnoh. He did a mock bow as he heard an explosion up near the Lumio's city tower making him go wide-eyed. He activated his hollow caster and entered Sycamore's number with it ringing until his image appeared. Naruto, thank goodness, I need you to get to the tower immediately, he said in a hurry as Naruto asked, Professor, what's going on? He only said, I'll answer when you get here at the tower, please hurry. With that said his image faded as he returned his Pokemon to their balls as he said to the others, all of you get any civilians or Pokemon in the area as far from the tower as possible. He activated his ATS, yes people, I added air gear to the story, I hate normal rollerblades, and applied pressure to his feet as he took off jumping high into the air flying from rooftop to rooftop. Oh Lumio's tower, oh Sycamore, Naruto said landing next to the professor as he turned around to see Naruto. Naruto, thank goodness. Some group wearing red came and did something to your Garchomp while we were showing a trainer about Mega Evolutions, he said as he pointed up to the top of the tower. Is that where those explosions came from? Naruto said as he nodded. Yay, she's been trying to fight it, but the more she does the greater the damage it deals to her. You gotta hurry, he said as Naruto nodded using his skates to trek up the side of the tower. Oh top of the tower, oh Ash, this is crazy, you're going to get hurt. A dark-skinned girl with her hair done with it ending at her legs with two pigtails on the side of her head wearing a black button-up blouse with markings similar to Rayquaza's in white with a small dragon Pokemon hiding in her hair. This was Iris from Unova, who decided to join Ash on his journey to see more dragon Pokemon. We have to stop it or it's only going to hurt itself and others. As the boy shouted with his hat flying off of his head in the wind. He went to make a step forward till he heard, "Zoran, you have to stop." Landing in front of him was a boy as tall as him if not slightly taller with long red hair with silver streaks stood in front of the large dragon as she stared at him with confused eyes. "N Naruto. Help me," the dragon said as she struggled against hitting him. "Zoran. Garchomp. Female. LV. 69. Condition. Failing. Hey, you're going to hurt yourself, get away," Ash said, watching him slowly step forward as to not provoke it. "It's okay, Zoran, I'm here, let's get hold still and I'll get that collar off, okay?" he said softly, ignoring the shouts from the two behind him when she cried out as her claw gave of an electric charge, slashing him across the chest just enough to get blood, making him slide back. I see her staying here hasn't made her fighting skills any duller," Naruto said, getting up with the help of the two beside him. "Hey, you alright?" the dark-haired girl as he looked to his side. "Yeah, but Zoran, I gotta help her. If I can just get that collar off," Naruto said as Ash patted him on the back. "We can help, just tell us what we gotta do," he said, getting a smirk. "I just need something to distract her long enough for me to get in close enough and remove the collar and we can get from up here," he said as a tinny blue frog hopped up to his knee. "Hey cutie, been some time since the last time I saw you was when I came out to Lumio's the first time. Think you can give us a hand?" he asked, getting a salute from the small frog as she took some of her fluffing around her neck and tossed it at Garchomp's feet, sticking them there. Seeing her distracted by the young frog as she would swipe at her, tossing the fluff at her, making her even more sticky, he charged at her. As he got to her collar he began to pull, making her cry out loudly, making the wind blow around them as Ash and Iris were holding on for dear life. Spending some time on the collar, he pulled out a pocket knife and began to slowly cut into the collar. When he finished, the collar exploded, sending the two of them off the side of the tower. "Zoran, come on, you gotta wake up. We're kind of falling to our death here," Naruto said, slapping her in the face a couple of times till her eyes snapped wide open as she righted herself while seeing him fall. Zoran, I would love it if you gave me a hand here," Naruto said as he was feet from the ground when a black blur caught him as they landed, revealing Garchomp. Though now that they were lower to the ground, they all noticed the difference between a normal Garchomp and this one. She was taller than the standard Garchomp, standing at 7 feet, even with the predominant coloration on her being a gray bordering light black, with the star on her head and the yellow on her stomach being red, as her eyes were light cauldron blue. "Phew, cutting it kind of close there, huh? How are you feeling?" he asked, rubbing her head, getting a content growl to others, but to him it was horrible. "I was forced to do things I didn't want and I hurt so many people. That group wanted to force me to activate my Mega Evolution and learn how to tap into it in hopes of recreating the world. A world in their image," Naruto said when he felt her tongue drag across his cut chest when he heard footsteps coming in his direction. "Naruto, thank goodness you and Zoran are alright. You are both alright, aren't you?" the professor asked, with Ash and Iris looking at him with questioning glances. "Yeah, I'm alright, Sycamore. I was intending on coming back to your lab to get Zoran and Chespin in hopes of starting my adventure here when you told me to come here," Naruto said when he turned to Ash and Iris with Froakie in her arms. "Though I gotta thank these two for doing all they could to help her. Really, I owe you both my gratitude," he said with a smile when Sycamore said, "Alright everyone, it's late and we could all use a good night's rest after the exhausting events that happened. How about I let you all sleep in my lab for the day and we can deal with everything tomorrow?" he suggested, getting a shrug from Naruto and the others as Sycamore gave Naruto Zoran's Pokeball, seeing as she was having trouble staying on her feet. He had her return, placing her in her slot on his multi-Pokeball belt as he and the rest follow Sycamore to his lab, passing a flashing mirror with 5 images again, which he brushed off again. "Oh, between worlds, oh. He really is careless," the large dragon said, only to get a huff from the only avian and 2 cats in the group, while a purple shadowy figure with white smoke-like hair watching with her arms crossed. "Yay, but it is because of his nature. Though I wonder if Rayquaza's going to start her test sometime soon. We got a lot of girls interested in him from just hearing about his loving nature towards Pokemon, and they're going to want to start soon," the purple cat said, getting a nod while being nudged in the side by the other cat. "Please Mewtwo, the only ones who want to test him more is the 5 of us and Lady Arceus herself," the cat next to her nodded, getting a sigh of annoyance. "Geez, you are all such little kids. Ash and I both believe he's passed my test. His willingness to put himself at risk to help a Pokemon shows his right to be king. For what is a king without love for his people?" the large wingless dragon said, appearing in an astral form, said, watching the screen. "Rayquaza, when did you administer your test?" Darkrai asked, turning to the large black dragon in shock. "Quite a while ago, when some kids thought that since he was young he would be easy to win against until his Pokemon destroyed that quickly placed bravado. The moment the explosion happened at the tower, he gave orders to get all civilians and Pokemon as possible out of the area. He is already capable of taking a leadership role when necessary," she said, watching him sit on the couch in the living room talking with her human form as she bandaged him while blushing, getting a healthy chuckle from the girls, making her huff. "Please, it's not like you girls won't be blushing. He's 14 with the body of a man. If you got a problem, then bite me. Although you just may want to, because due to mom's rules I get to mate him first. Enjoy the show, ladies," she said smugly as she turned her head looking away. She noticed he was trying to get her attention, so she quickly faded from view, as did the others while they continued to watch. "Oh, Sycamore's spare bedroom. Oh, Iris," Naruto said, gently shaking her, making her eyes widen, seeing him so close as she quickly fell back, letting him get a peek at her underwear from her long shirt. He thought, black stripes, nice. She's more developed than I thought. Must be because of the clothes, they a little baggy on her." Fixing her shirt, she asked, "What is it?" silently hoping he saw her. "I was wondering when we were up on the tower when you helped me up, I saw something," he said hesitantly, wanting to play this by ear in case she was dangerous. Sensing this, she reassured him by placing her hand on his shoulder. "Calm down, Naruto, I'll answer whatever it is you want to know." He nodded, liking the feel of her hands. He asked, "When you helped me up I saw a shadow behind you, not a person's shadow but a Pokemon's, a large Pokemon like a dragon. It's the same for my mom, sisters, Cynthia and Fantina. Just who or what are you all?" She smiled, sitting so close next to him. She placed her head on his shoulder. "Well, Naruto, have you ever wondered why Arceus chose you for these abilities you have? And yes, I know all about them. You'd be surprised about how fast word can spread from the lips of one Pokemon to another." Draping her arm around his shoulder, giving him a view of her breast, she said, "I wouldn't be surprised if that little Puccina told the Pokemon of Hoenn all about you and your kind nature as they decide to see you for themselves. But to your question, Lady Arceus didn't just choose you to represent her as her chosen but as her king." Raising an eyebrow, he asked, "How would a human be a legendary Pokemon's king?" "I mean, yeah, I can use aura and the abilities Pokemon use, but I'm only human." Unexpectedly she giggled. "Oh, Naruto, silly, naive Naruto, you are no simple human. Ash, he may be human but he's Lady Arceus's knight." He asked, "If I'm not human then what am I? And you still didn't answer my question, who are you all really?" She smiled. "Well, I and your mom, sisters, and friends are Arceus's daughters, so what do you think that makes you?" In a flash of light she grew slightly taller, with yellow lines spreading across her body, mainly her arms, legs and head. She also had a long tail as her eyes took a reptilian slit. She couldn't help but laugh at his dumbfounded expression. His jaw dropped to the ground with his eyes the size of dinner plates. "I know I look good, cutie, but I still have more to tell you," she said, picking his jaw up from the ground and sat next to him with her tail wrapped around his waist, pulling him in closer. "Now to your possible unasked question of why are Arceus's children involved in human society and why we're here, or possibly why is your mother and sisters legendaries? It's simple," she said, bringing her face closer to his. "What is it then?" he said softly as her face was close to his own, that he could feel her breath on his lips. "You," she said, sealing her lips against his as she sat on his lap, feeling her tongue brush against his lips. She brought her arms around his neck, massaging her nails in his scalp while he opened his mouth, letting her tongue dart in, wrestling with his own. The two went on for what seemed like hours but was only 10 minutes when the two separated with a string of saliva between them. Panting, he said, feeling a wet spot form on his sweatpants while she felt something poke her in the thigh. He said, panting, "Why me? I mean, I'm nothing special. Why did you all choose me?" Smiling, she brought her face to his neck. She said, soft, Oh Naruto, it's simple. Not only are you the absolute best choice, you're kind and compassionate towards all Pokemon. You don't think of them as weapons or tools. You see us all for what we are, living beings who feel what humans do. Love, hate, fear, joy, all things the heart experiences. You know this more than any human could imagine. This is why all of us chose you to be our king and mate. Although you had to pass a test we will each give you, and it's safe to say you passed mine when you first touched down in Kalos, she continued after kissing him some more. Still dazed, feeling her rub herself against him, he said, "Test." "What test?" Kissing his neck, she said, "To see if you have the quality each of us looks for as a king and mate. I wouldn't be surprised if you passed quite a few of the girls' tests already, seeing as we've been watching you since the moment you were born. And ever since then you've proven yourself time and again. Though for the ones you've already passed, meeting them will just be a formality." Pushing against him till he was on his back, lying down on the couch with her lying on top of him, she said, "And with you passing my test you have proven that." Looking down at him as she sat up sitting on his stomach, her hand glowed till a Pokeball with Rayquaza's markings showed in her hand, with the ball being black. "You also have the right to have me assist you in battle as my trainer, just as you will have the right for the others, but first." "Oh lemon, oh." She took off her shirt, showing her wearing a black bra with matching panties, in which Naruto was wide-eyed. She said, "Naruto, to solidify you being my mate you have to do the act with me." She kissed him again more feverishly as she slid her hands up and down his chest, with his hands sliding up and down his waist, making her moan into their kiss. Their hands continued to explore the other's body as his hands were holding tightly to her waist, while her hands slid down to the hem of his t-shirt and went under it to his bandage-covered chest, feeling his muscles, feeling herself grow hotter. Pulling away, he looked her in the eyes and saw love, devotion and lust evident in her eyes when she pulled her hands behind her back, undoing her bra, showing her high C-cup breast heave in time with the rapid rise and fall of her chest. She smiled and pushed her chest out proudly. "You can touch me on more than just my hips, you know. I'm not made of glass, besides women love it when you touch us. It makes us feel like we're wonderful pieces of art being appreciated." He nodded, smiling as he touched her breast, taking her left in his left hand, gently massaging them in his hands, getting an appreciative moan as he brought himself closer to her, taking a tentative lick to her neck. "Ooh, that feels good. I guess you sleeping with your girls were a good thing." "Aw, right there," she exclaimed as he got bolder, pushing her on her back, bringing her left breast to his mouth, gently biting the bud while his right hand massaged and tweaked her right. His left hand slowly caressed the dragon-turned human's body as he felt every curve, every muscle twitch under his touch till he got to her core as he said, "I gotta know what I'm doing to please them." She gasped, feeling something invade her folds. Oh, between worlds, oh. Oh, this is getting hot. Though I hate it that Iris got to test him first. Who's going next? Giratina asked, only to get silence as a response, causing her to turn, seeing all of the girls stare with glazed looks of lust in their eyes. She rolled her eyes and roared, getting their attention, saying, "If you all could get your mind out of the gutter, we can find out who it is will be going next." "Oh, come off it, Giratina, you want to go just as much as us, but to be fair it should be the one who knows him better," Mewtwo said when all five said, "That's me." They glared as Raikou and Lugia gave their reasons, "We're his big sisters. When he was alone we would always be there for him. If anyone should get to go next, it's us." Mewtwo interjected, "Oh girls please, I'm his mother. I've carried him for 9 months and nursed him, giving us a bond that so few mother and children share. If anyone goes next, it's me. I was the first friend he's made that day, I'm going first." The large dragon said, only to get a huff. "Please. He and I share a connection as adventurous souls, his music speaks to me, I'm going." Darkrai said. The five glared at each other with such intensity that electricity sparked between them as they charged at each other, creating a large dust cloud as different attacks came from it in different directions. Oh, real world, oh. Oh, that feels so good," she said, pushing him back as she leaned back, feeling his growing member poke her. She grew a sly grin, saying while grinding against it, "Oh. It seems someone's excited, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't myself." Standing up, she turned herself around, positioning them in a 69 while she pulled his sweatpants down, revealing his 10 feet member, making her go wide-eyed. Oh, between worlds, oh. My god," Giratina exclaimed, getting the other girls' attention when the girls saw what caused this. Their eyes popped out of their heads as they eyed his member. All the girls their mouths started to water as Mewtwo turned to Raikou and Lugia as they nodded and attacked them from behind, standing on top of them, making it impossible to move. I think me and my daughters will be paying him a visit seeing as we won this fight. Now let's watch, shall we? She said, getting comfortable with the others doing the same. Oh real world, oh. It's massive. I'm kind of afraid to think what would happen if I were a normal human, she thought when she gasped, feeling Naruto's tongue invade her folds. Pushing the thought aside, she slowly took him into her mouth, taking in 7 of the 10 inches down her throat, suppressing her gag reflex as Naruto's tongue delved into her folds expertly while another finger rubbed her clit, making her stiffen, feeling electricity surge through her. Feeling themselves get closer, they speed up the process as Naruto gently bit down on her clit, making her explode in his waiting mouth while she felt him throb in her mouth, sending rope after rope inside her mouth, making her moan at the taste. Naruto, that was great, but somewhere else needs to be filled in a lot. I hope you know, but the rooms are soundproof from the inside out, so nobody will hear us in here, but we can hear them out there, she said, sauntering towards the bed as she slowly removed her panties, making him harder than earlier, showing he was actually a full 14, making her grin. He got up, walking towards her as he gripped her hips, looking her in the eye as she gripped his member, placing it at her core, nodding as he slowly pushed until his entire rod was buried inside her, making her eyes snap open, giving a silent scream. Feeling him pry her tights slit open, she thought, God, he's right at my womb. Any normal woman would have died just from penetration. And if him being born from a legendary means anything, oh boy. She was panting just from him being in her as she nodded, saying, you can move now. He nodded and started off slow as he got a tight grip on her hips as the two moaned from the pleasure. As the two went faster, the more her mind began to numb from the pleasure as her eyes rolled back with her tongue lolling out of her mouth as his hips were now a blur. Oh God, Naruto, she exclaimed, hitting her 4th orgasm when he only hit his 2nd as her stomach began to swell and was loving the feeling of him inside her. You like that, Iris? He asked teasingly as he felt something take over him and brought his face closer to her neck. Yes. I love it more, she said, opening her eyes as her eyes were reptilian as the two of them bit each other on the shoulder as a dragon forming a circle appeared on both of their shoulders as the both of them felt each other's limit. Iris locked her legs around his waist when he was about to pull out, biting even harder into the mark as he did the same. Come inside me, Naruto heard her say in his head as he exploded inside her, completely filling her womb with his seed, giving her the appearance of a woman who's 2 months pregnant as he collapsed beside her in the bed with her tail has wrapped around his waist, bringing the two of them closer together. Oh, between worlds, oh. Wow, the two of them went for at least 3 hours without rest. Come on Mewtwo, let one of us go next please, Darkrai asked pleadingly, only to get a negative shake of the head from all 3 girls. Nope, you two lost the battle and we won, so you gotta wait after us, Lugia said, getting a groan from the two of them as they each left with Mewtwo thinking, just wait son, mommy's coming for you. Oh, next morning, oh. What a dream. I thought Iris was a legendary and I'm also a legendary with the others wanting me as their mate, he thought out loud, getting a satisfied moan as he heard a soft voice come from behind him. That was no dream, that numb feeling between my legs is proof. And also cute additions, she said, making him raise an eyebrow as she pointed to the wolf-like ears and tail that had stainless steel gold rings piercing his steel-gray tail, making him wonder as he saw flame-like markings stretch across every part of his body. How the hell are there rings in my tail? On second thought, why the hell do I have ears and a tail? And what's with these markings? He asked, getting a shrug. On the rings, no clue, I wonder the same thing myself. For the ears and tail, it's obvious, as you are the son of a legendary and have been chosen to be Arceus's king. As such, you have to live forever, and like the rest of us, you're an animal, well, besides the Regi Quartet. Thirdly, the markings could be similar to how Lady Evangeline has the black stripes on her body. How they look on your body when you reach your full form is beyond me, she said, shrugging, getting up from the bed as she got the remaining essence from last night out of her. So how would I hide them? I mean, people would be chasing after me if I just walked around Kalos with ears and a tail. I mean, that would be like standing under a giant neon sign that shouted out, "New legendary, come catch me," he asked as she changed into a black sleeveless sweater and black jeans and boots. Thinking it over, she said, watching him remove the bandages, showing a large vertical slash across his chest that had healed until it was only a scar. Snapping out of it, she said, Well, like me and the others, we hide our true forms and even change our human form by focusing on what we want to look like, so just imagine how you normally look without the additions. Nodding, he closed his eyes as he felt an painful strain as muscles and bones readjusted and aligned till his ears and tail vanished along with the markings, leaving only large armbands similar to the rings on his tail. "How do you feel?" she asked, knowing that the first couple of changes are going to be a pain in the ass. Feels like my body was ripped open and tossed through a grinder. How do you and the others deal with it?" he said, popping his muscles and such as he placed on clothing similar to yesterday's, except they were the opposite in color. "Yeah, it's been eons since we've learned how to do it, and it only takes a couple of transformations to adjust. Don't worry, you'll grow into it. Now let's get going so we can see Professor Sycamore," she said, kissing him on the cheek as she swayed her hips out of the room, making him roll his eyes as he followed her out of the room. "Oh lab, oh. Morning everyone," Iris said as she was greeted with a series of groans as she and Naruto grabbed their Pokeballs with irises on the main belt around his waist. No greetings till coffee," Ash said as he stood in front of the coffee pot with the others as he raised an eyebrow at Iris. "Ash isn't the morning starly type, as you haven't noticed. Anyways, Naruto, you pick what starter you're going to take with you on your beginning journey," she asked, getting a nod. "Yeah, I'm picking Chespin. She has a good defense and can be quite the power hitter if trained properly," he said, sitting at the table releasing his Pokemon as he greeted them all while the girls gave Naruto and Iris a sly look. "Morning girls, ready for our first trip in Kalos?" he asked, getting a nod from each of them as he walked up to Zoran, asking. "How you feeling, Zoran?" he asked, gently rubbing her head, getting an appreciative purr. "I'm doing better now, but I would feel great if I could kick the bastards who used me as a living puppet's ass. Why do I smell sex on you?" she asked, getting a chuckle from Iris as she walked up, placing her hand on Zoran's head. "That would be because Rayquaza herself mated him. I hope you all don't mind sharing him with me and the other girls that are sure to join," she said, getting a shocked look from her and the others thanks to the mental link formed by Chris as they all turned to Naruto as he sighed. "I'll tell you all later when we get to somewhere private, but trust me when I say that the stuff she told me and you will see will effectively blow your minds." They agreed as Ash walked back with a cup of coffee, saying, "Morning guys, and I heard you, Iris, not a morning starly, my right eye. So Naruto, I gotta ask, how long have you been a trainer?" He shrugged. "Officially, when I get my Pokédex. And officially since I was 4 and meet Chris, Hitsun Kagutsuchi, and became a professor." Getting a surprised look from the boy, he asked, "You're a professor? But aren't you a little young?" Thinking it over, he said, I guess it's all in the opinion of another person. I was tested by my godfather and godmother with their associates to see my knowledge on Pokemon, and I passed all of their tests with ease. Not wanting this intellect to go to waste, they got me my license as a professor, where I worked with each of them. Sycamore and I have been working on 2 projects together." Ash was interested and asked, "What are they?" Naruto said, taking a seat after a woman brought him and Iris a cup of coffee on the couch. "Well, one thing is the possibility of a new type of Pokemon called the Fairy type, which would explain why the standard moves don't work as well on them as it normally would. And the other I'm sure you already know from yesterday. So you've been studying Mega Evolutions. What possessed you to do that?" he asked. "Well, I guess the thought came to me when I studied about fossils," Naruto said, getting a puzzling look from not only Ash but the legendary dragon herself. "Fossils," they said, getting a nod. "That's right. I thought, what if fossils weren't the only type of Pokemon to exist? What if the Pokemon of today were a more docile form of what they once were?" Thinking this, I found several odd stones outside of the standard fire, water, leaf, sun, dawn and dusk stone. These stones held the actual DNA of a Pokemon that, when held, let them temporarily acquire their former form, he said, gesturing to his Pokemon. "So Ash, since you never had the chance to see a Mega Evolution, how about I show you?" he asked, getting an excited nod from the both of them. "Sure, I was looking forward to it," he said as Zoran walked forward, transforming when he hit the button on his black wristband. It looked like the standard Mega Garchomp, except its color scheme was similar to when it was earlier, and she had scythe-like blades where her claws were, along with additional spikes on her stomach and legs. "Wow, that's a Mega Evolution," Ash said, excited as Naruto nodded. "Yup, there is still so little to understand about the evolution, their abilities and what changes it brings to a Pokemon's personality. That's why I want to study it no matter how long it takes," Naruto said, getting a pat on the shoulder as he rubbed Zoran's head, getting a satisfied purr. And with the rate you're going, it shouldn't take too long for you. So you guys, did you pick what starter you'd take with you? Sycamore asked, getting out for Pokeballs. I'll take Chespin. I could use more grass types in my group and she's a strong one in wool, Naruto said, walking towards Chespin with a green version of the Twilight Ball in hand. You want to travel with me, Clover? He said, getting a questioning look from the chipmunk. Clover, what kind of name is that? If I'm going to travel with you and your friends, I gotta have a badass name. Handsome, she said in a huff, getting a chuckle from him as he gently rubbed her head. Alright then, if not Clover, how about Integra? Or Sarah's? He suggested, getting her to think them over as she nodded. Yeah, Integra. I like the sound of that. Alright, hot stuff, you got yourself a deal, she said, slapping the Pokeballs button as she was drawn in, making him chuckle to his team. Seems we have another high-spirited friend, huh girls? He said telepathically as they all agreed mentally as he reviewed the info he got from her. Integra, Chespin, female, LV, 5. So Ash, who are you going to choose? Got a preferred fighting style in mind or what? He asked as he watched him grab Froakies Pokeball as he tossed it in the air as Froakie jumped in the air, hitting the button, letting it be sent inside it. He saw Froakie's information before it returned to its ball as it read. Froakie, male, LV, 5. I just go by how a Pokemon feels to me, he said, making Naruto raise an eyebrow. How they feel to you? He said questioningly as he and his Pokemon looked at Iris, who shrugged as a response. Yeah, people always go after strong Pokemon who think they'll always win a battle with little training. I want to show that even a weak Pokemon can beat a tough opponent if given the proper respect and care, he said with conviction as Naruto saw all of Ash's Pokemon appear behind him, making him nod. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. To show that even a Pokemon with a type disadvantage can win against the stronger foe, he said, getting a nod while they turned to Iris that chose a peculiar bat-like Pokemon. His contacts showed Noivern, male, LV, 10. He saw that it had a strong will just like Froakie did and knew that with a legendary training him and Ash with his will, things were going to be interesting as time goes on. Excellent, now then. Wait, Sycamore said when he was interrupted by a feminine yell. They all turned to the door as a girl wearing a black dress shirt and red skirt came running in. Ah, it's good to see you made it, and Fennekin is all ready for you, Serena. These three were just about to start their journey as well, he said as she looked at them. When her and Naruto's eyes met, like Iris, she had a large shadow behind her, except the figure was too hazy to identify. He shrugged as she said, Sorry Professor, I had my alarm clock set too late. If it weren't for Mom's fletchling waking me up, I wouldn't have made it. I ran all the way here. Laughing, he said, Oh, it's all right, Serena. Anyways, as I was about to say, I need you all to do something for me. I need you all to complete the Pokédex. As you know, Pokémon are ever growing and changing. I need you to fill it, add information of new Pokémon that haven't been seen before. They nodded as he handed them each a Pokédex, with Serena's being blue, Ash's being red, and Iris's being a forest green, while Naruto's was white with black lines. Alright, so do you all know where you're going to start first in your journey? He asked as Naruto and Ash said, I'm going to enter the Kalos League. The two said at the same time as they shared a glare at each other, making Iris sigh. You two are such little kids, getting so worked up over something like this. She shook her head as she introduced herself to the new girl. Hi, my name's Iris. The two idiots over there is Naruto and Ash. We just got here in Kalos and are about to go on our adventure. You are, she said with her hand extended, ignoring the indignant Hey. I'm Serena, it's nice to meet you. And do you think I can join you guys? The three of you look like you all have quite the bit of experience as a trainer, and I could learn quite a bit from you all, the new girl said, hopefully grabbing her hand as the two of them shared a mental conversation. So you're one as well, never met a legend native to another region, Iris said as the girl was surprised as she saw a large dragon. So you're the first to fully interact with our King Rayquaza. How would you judge him? She said. He already had passed my test, if not passed a few girls, just by watching him or from his mother and sister's reports. He passed mine from him just landing in Kalos and saving his Garchomp. He's got a strong sense of loyalty that alone let him pass my test, she responded as they watched Naruto and his Pokemon get to know their newest addition. Okay, but how would you judge him? She reiterated, putting emphasis on the judge, watching her blush with a bit of drool. She said in a haze. I can still feel him. With him being born from a legendary, he's got stamina in spades and so big. That was more than enough to get Serena's mind to wonder as they failed to notice Ash and Naruto walk to them. Girls, hello. Iris, it's Team Rocket, they're after the Pokemon. Ash said, hoping to get them to come back to the waking world to receive nothing. The two boys looked at each other, shrugging, as the two of them sat on the side talking, waiting for the two of them to snap out of it. Watching them, Ash said, they're going to be a while, aren't they? Naruto only nodded, saying, yeah, also I saw your battle during the Sinnoh League against that Paul guy. Gotta admit that last fight was something that had hits at the edge of her seat cheering your Infernape on. Surprised, he asked, you saw that? Smiling, Naruto said, yup, we always watch the league tournaments to learn new fighting styles and how to use our moves. In fact, that counter shield was an interesting one indeed. And how you superheated the field to remove the poison, that was defiantly amazing with your team fighting against the odds. The trainer was embarrassed, he said, thanks though, I wish my last battle turned out differently. He nodded, saying, yeah, I know you fought that Tobias guy. He pulled out Darkrai and Latios. Your Pokemon were spent just fighting Darkrai as is, but that was overkill. Oh well, I believe a loss isn't a loss until you give up everything between now and then as learning experience. The hat-wearing teen nodded, saying, that's some good words to live by. Tell me, why travel when you're a professor? He noticed Naruto's Pokemon grew solemn. He listened to Naruto say, growing up my parents hardly made any time for me or at all. Well, my mom would at least acknowledge me, give me a hug now and again, maybe a kiss on the cheek. But it was always about my sisters. Even on my birthday it was about my sisters. I wanted to have what they did, friends, praise, warm affection. I never experienced that growing up from my parents, well, my dad anyways. Leaning against Amaterasu's tail, he continued, unaware of other people listening from this world and the world beyond. As a small child, a part of me always knew my father never wanted me, and did all he could to exclude me from family events. My sister Elisa's fashion shows, Skyla's aerial performances, Mom's contest appearances, parties the family would be invited to or throw, and I was never a part of any of it. Always pawned off to my godfather and godmother Rowan and Juniper. They practically raised me as their blood child, as have helped them with their labs. It was then I realized I had some weird connection with Pokemon that went beyond that of a simple bond with them. It was 11 years ago today when I met Hitz, Chris and Kagutsuchi, Naruto said as he looked to the ceiling. Oh, flashback, oh. I had just heard as my family wouldn't be here to celebrate my birthday again for the third year in a row. And even though I knew to never get my hopes up, as a child it still tore at my heart to know my family would rather party with people than be with their own son and brother. It hurt so much that when I heard from their video conversation while I stood in the hallway with Juniper, as Rowan and I stood in the hallway, I ran right outside in the pounding rain, ignoring my surrogate family's calls to stop. I just wanted to get away from it all and ran as far as my legs would let me, not caring how far I ran or to where. I think I ran so far I believe I left the town. The rain was hitting so hard I felt my bones go numb from the biting cold. I was just in another forest when I saw a large light, and I ran hoping to seek warmth, only to see a large pack of Infernape with a differently colored one standing over an injured black-furred Chimchar who had a cut over her eye, who was barely conscious, a black-colored Ralts with her dress bleeding in tatters unconscious, an albino Riolu glaring defiantly at the imposing group as a group of Lucario and Gardevoir Gallade soon joined. At first I wanted to ignore them, seeing as it had nothing to do with me, until I heard them throw insults at the group like freak, weakling, abomination. Those comments struck a chord with me and made me mad. I guess they reminded me of myself. I don't quite remember what happened partway through, except I threw mud balls at the pack leader's eyes, bringing everyone's attention to me, but I remember everything that was said. What is a human doing here? Leave, boy, and you won't get hurt. The alpha of the Infernape said, watching me stand directly in front of them with my arms wide open. Why are you hurting them? What did they do to deserve this? I said as my eyes continued to burn. Like when I left, I felt the burning effect, not only my eyes but my body, as every cell felt like an inferno. What does it matter to you, boy? These three outcasts have been a bother to us from the beginning, and I'm just removing the trash, starting with my excuse of a daughter. He said, making Naruto glare harder. So you're going to hurt them because of something stupid? Wow, and here I thought humans were the idiotic species in the world, but I guess you and those group of Infernape, Lucario and Gardevoir make a pretty damn close second. I said, and I knew I really pissed them off with that comment, though I saw the three semi-conscious girls behind me stare wide-eyed. What did you say, brat? Get out of the way or you're next to face our wrath. I saw a blue Gallade say as he and a yellow Lucario walked to the front, standing next to the Infernape, making me square my shoulders. Even though I didn't show it that day, I was afraid. No, if you want to hurt them you'll have to get through me. I don't care if they did something wrong, what you're doing isn't right. I said, making them growl as they charged. To me everything moved in slow motion as I felt my body go into autopilot as I ducked under the Infernape's right hook and kicked its legs from underneath him as I pushed it forcefully into the charging Lucario. I didn't notice the Gallade till the last second, as at the last second I felt a shattering combo be delivered to my stomach, breaking a few ribs and to my right arm as I attempted to block. The force alone was enough to send me flying into the tree next to downed pre-evolutions. I saw them about to attack the girls with a combined long-range attack, feeling my body draw on an energy I never felt before, but it seemed so soothing as the aches and broken bones went numb as I ran in the attack's path. I expected to get blown sky high, but to my surprise I blocked it with my hands out, creating a large green dome. Somehow I had used Protect, a Pokemon move. Like myself, the gathered group and even new viewers were surprised as I heard a few mutters about me using that technique. Of course I wasn't paying much attention as I stared the now on edge leaders down as I felt a wide variety of moves get downloaded into my head and the types there as I ran at the Infernape as my hands glowed a ominous purple as blades formed. Psycho Cut, I said, slashing at the first fighting type as it hit him in the solar plexus, making him keel over as I felt the psychic fighter run at me. I felt my hands change again into claws that glowed red with vicious red aura as I slammed my hands down into the ground, creating a shockwave, night crash. A large red dome appeared, growing outward with me at the center, as the only thing the girls told me they could see was a hazy outline of some wolf and glowing purple, hazel eyes. The blast was so strong it sent the fighter flying past the mass Pokemon group and through a large tree head first, knocking him unconscious as my senses told me to duck as a large bone club swung overhead. Rolling out of the way, I felt my lungs burn as I exhaled, releasing a burst of fire from my mouth as I performed a cartwheel, coating myself in a wheel of fire, tackling the fighter, leaving his body sliding into his group. My body was now so hot that the rain that once felt so cold was now non-existent as the rain turned to steam against my skin, while my clothes were now scraps of smoldering cloth hanging off my body. Even though my body was running on fumes, I didn't want them to think I was about to fall, so I bluffed, "If you all don't want to end up like your leaders, I'd walk away now." They were hesitant until I willed what energy to gather into my good hand until I had a large orb, throwing it at nearby unoccupied tree, turning it into wood chips. "I guess I mumbled," I said. "Leave now," he reiterated, making them pick up their leaders as they left until a small group of female Lucario, Gardevoir, and Infernape were left as they hugged him as they gave their thanks for protecting their daughters and asked me to be there for them. I could barely stand. My body wanted to fall apart, but I fought against that as I cautiously walked towards them. As I saw them get defensive, I gave my best available friendly face as possible as I said, "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to get you medical attention, okay? Would it be easier if I gave you my name?" They nodded as I smiled. "My name is Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. Will you let me get you medical attention? I promise you I will not do anything to harm you, nor will the people I'm taking you to." Again they nodded as I noticed the Chimchar's flame was barely going as I went to pick her up and place her in my shirt, making sure her flame didn't diminish any further than it has. I picked up the others as I held them in my good arm, making my way back to the lab. What had originally taken me minutes had taken me hours as my body was worn and broken, with the only thing keeping me going was the will to get them help. End flashback. The tongue lashing I had gotten from Auntie Jupiter and Uncle Rowan was not a pleasant one as they mended to their wounds and mine, as I had remained bedridden for months. Oh man, was my mom pissed, partially at me and partially her, knowing that if she had been more forceful at that time I wouldn't have gotten hurt. My sisters gave the silent treatment until I had to pull out all the stops, he said, gaining a wistful smile that he and his first 3 friends shared. "Yeah, your mom didn't let you out of her sight since she got back your sisters too. You had to give them each AX transceiver so they would calm down about where you were," Hit said, laughing only to get slapped in the back of the head from an innocently whistling Weavile. "Pull out the stops," Serena said, watching Naruto rub his face in his hands. I had to give them the Lillipup eyes with a fake tear combo. Eventually I got them to concede after that, he said, earning a laugh from everyone present, even his Pokemon, making him groan while glaring at his team, traitors. Anyways, after that the three of us had each other's back and I had made my first friends ever on that night, as they never left my side. A month after that I was tested for my professor's test and passed, and that was when I got my goal to make a name for myself as more than it's Minato's son. I want to become someone to remember years from now. That's why I'm going to win the Kalos League and earn enough money to create a region-wide tournament for everyone to participate regardless if they're a professional or child, he said, getting a nod as everyone present listened to his story. Is that the only reason why you've entered the league? Ash asked, getting a negative. No, I also wanted to join to see more Pokemon. To learn more about them and how they act compared to a Pokemon from a region not native to its own. Just yesterday I saw Pidgey, and other Pokemon that belong in their native regions. I want to know how they act in places uncommon for them, Naruto explained, getting a wide-eyed look from the new girl. You're really devoted to Pokemon, aren't you, Naruto? She said, getting a nod. Of course, people are able to do and explore so many things and places because of Pokemon. I want to learn as much as I can as possible, he said with conviction. Having enough of the conversation, Sycamore turned their conversation back to what they had all come here for. Anyways, everyone, as I was asking, are you all ready to begin your journey? He asked, getting a nod from each of them as they packed all of their things. Naruto, Ash, just a word of warning, the first gym is a couple towns back and it's a bug type, be careful, she's a tough one, he said, walking away. Oh, and don't forget to send me reports on your Pokédex when you've got the chance, alright? He said as they gave a positive response as they left his lab, walking towards the first gym and the beginning of their adventure. I still can't believe you got me to cut my hair. Nobody has ever gotten me to cut my hair, not even my mom or sisters. You know how long it took me to get it that way. Naruto griped as he, Ash, Iris and their newest addition Serena had meet in Lumio's, where they passed a barber shop and clothing store where the girls had changed his and Ash's image. Ah, you're still going on about that? You should be thanking us, you looked like you just rolled out of bed, Serena said, elbowing him in the shoulder as Naruto heard a chuckle from behind him to see his three girls and a recently joined Chespin following close behind, laughing before they stopped seeing his glare. You might as well get over it, Naruto. I had to get over it when they got rid of my hat. You had to get rid of your hair. Equal exchange, Ash said as they passed a mirror which the girls pulled him and Ash to. Naruto now wore his hats as usual, but now wore a pair of black vinyl jeans with the two belts holding his Pokeballs, a white button-up shirt with a black zip-up jacket as a gray vinyl messenger bag hung over his shoulder, as well as a pair of wide-framed red lens goggles hung around his neck. Ash wore a pair of black boots with red checkered jeans. With that he had a gray plaid shirt with a black undershirt underneath with his standard backpack, and a pair of black sunglasses that were a modified version of Naruto's contact lenses, which he made a pair for the others as well. They had backtracked for well over a week and trained together, getting to know their new Pokemon as both Ash and Serena caught them a couple of Pokemon. They trained together while Integra grew, training with his other Pokemon, helping her learn new techniques and started working on her stamina, strength and defense. While she was by all regards weaker than his other girls, she was making wonderful progress, especially with this all only being 2 weeks since their meeting. I may get over it, but I will never forget it. Anyways, getting over that, we're close to the Pokemon Center. How about we stop there and then check out the gym? He suggested, getting a nod from the others. While walking, Naruto couldn't help but get this feeling that he was going to meet more girls like Iris and Serena. He knew she was a legendary, but he had nothing to go about it as her shadow was a hazy mist while everyone else's was blaringly obvious as a type of Pokemon. Another thing he noticed was Iris's shadow was no longer just a draconic shadow but Rayquaza, who constantly kept an eye on him and knew when he was looking at her she would grin or do something else to convey an emotion. He also started to see a giant shadow appear behind him that, while slightly hazy, appeared to be lupine in appearance with what appeared to be multiple tails fanned out behind it. Oh, Pokemon Center, oh. So Ash, how long has this Team Rocket been following you? I mean, it would seem ridiculous that they're after a single Pikachu. No offense, buddy, Naruto said to the little electric mouse who sat on Ash's shoulder. No problem, Naruto, but they claim it's because I have more power than a regular Pikachu, the electric mouse said with sparks discharged off his cheeks. It's because Pikachu is just that amazing of a Pokemon. They've been after us since Kanto and they haven't got him yet. Though I wonder why they just don't go out in the wild for a Pikachu, especially here. I mean, we've come across 10 Pikachu in the matter of 5 minutes walking through the forest, Ash said while walking through the doors of the Pokemon Center to see a large lobby with a below-ground circular couch and table. Let's let everyone rest so we can get to cooking, Naruto said, which excited everyone because they all loved his cooking while they followed him to the counter. Hello, welcome to the Pokemon Center, do you need any assistance? The nurse Joy asked with a warming smile. Yes, we would like our Pokemon to be healed, and could I use your kitchen to cook for me and my friends? He asked, getting a nod as she gave them directions while taking their Pokemon as hits and the others outside their Pokeballs followed with Pikachu on her shoulder. Oh Naruto, could you make some extra food for a few sick Pokemon as well? She asked, getting a nod from the boy. Oh kitchen, oh. Alright, let's see what we have to work with in terms of ingredients, Naruto said, rolling up his sleeves and throwing on an apron as he and the others went through the cabinets. We've got berries on my end, Ash said, pulling out 3 crates of berries of various assortments. We've got vitamins over here, Iris said, bringing out a few boxes of different vitamins and boosters. I've got containers of minerals for different types of Pokemon in here, Serena said, bringing out large cylinder after cylinder of minerals to cater to a Pokemon's diet. And I've got grains over here. Alright, we got enough to make enough for our Pokemon and the sick ones. Let's get started, Naruto said as they all started to gather ingredients for different Pokemon mixed with berries and vitamins as they followed his directions. Oh sick ward, oh. Walking to the sick ward, they had a large tray full of food and drinks for the sick as they opened the door, seeing a large room filled with several Pokemon, a light blue Froakie, a bed-ridden Houndour, a pale Skrelp and a yellow Goomy. Food's ready everyone. I've got enough for all of you, so eat up and enjoy, Naruto said as they all placed a large tray of food for the various Pokemon with Nurse Joy nearby. Thank you so much for doing this, Naruto, she said in appreciation as he and the others waved it off. It's fine, Nurse Joy. Though for many of these Pokemon they look like they've seen better days. What happened to them? He asked as they seemed defensive against him. It's become an annual case. A trainer is unhappy with their Pokemon, or they find something they don't like about them and the trainer abandons them, or I find them being abused by their trainer and take away the trainer's license. These are the recent ones, especially this little one, she said, gesturing over to 4 small silver Eevee who were shaking, looking at them with fearful eyes. Naruto said, growling, sometimes humans make me sick. These 4 couldn't be older than a few months old. Is there anything we could do for all of them? The most we can do is take care of them. I was hoping we could find them all a couple of loving trainers who will take care of them. Could you all do it? She asked, getting wide-eyed looks from them. They were going to object until they felt something paw at them, making them look down, with an Eevee looking up at them, making them give in. Alright, we will, so who wants to join us? Naruto asked, seeing each of them step forward with a small Eevee on each of their shoulders as the light blue Froakie hopped on his other shoulder. Houndour went to Serena, Ash got Skrelp, and Iris got Goomy, each of which were just as happy and hoped this trainer wouldn't be like their last as they each pulled out a Pokeball and placed them in them, after which they let them out to eat. I know you 4 will take good care of them. And thank you, they've been here for some time now since their trainers abused them. Anyways, here are your Pokemon, they're in perfect health, she said, giving them their Pokeballs. So what are you 4 doing here? Come to challenge the gym? She asked, getting a nod from both Naruto and Ash while Selena was undecided. I'm coming along with them to see all the dragon types I can to become a dragon master. I got a ways to go before I get that far though, Iris said, scratching her head. Well, you've made a good start. Skrelp evolves into a dragon type, and Goomy is a dragon type. Actually, there are a few dragons in the Kalos Desert on Route 13, the power plant. You'll see 2 or 3 types or some that evolves into a dragon, she said with a smile, getting one in exchange from Iris, who was excited to see the different dragon types. Hey Nurse Joy, I have a question. Is the gym still open? Ash asked, seeing that it was quite late since they arrived to the town at 5, and now looking at the clock they saw it was now 8. Shaking her head, she said, no, I'm afraid she closed the gym about 2 hours ago. But she will be open at 1 tomorrow afternoon if you're in a hurry to get your badge. Oh Pokemon Center lobby, oh. The two boys were excited and nodded as she led them all to the couch saying, "It's a shame to say that the rooms are all full for the time being. But if you wish you can stay on the couch while I light a fire." They nodded as Iris said, "That would be nice, thanks so much." The nurse simply wished them all good night and left them all to their devices while they all sat on the couch with the TV going. "You know Naruto, I gotta ask," Serena asked with Evie, who she named Rose, and Houndour that was named Cinder were curled up against each other making quite the cute sight. "What's up?" he said, now wearing a pair of sweatpants and t-shirt much like Ash, while Iris wore a large shirt as Serena wore a pair of PJs with stars on them. "I heard you talk about your dream, but where would you hold a large tournament like that? And how many rounds would there be for it? I mean, there are hundreds if not thousands of trainers and professional trainers in the regions," she asked. "I was wondering that too. How would everyone hold a spot?" Ash asked as Naruto pulled out a piece of paper and a pen. Drawing a few diagrams, he said, "Well, first it would start out as a prerequisite round. Trainers would be given a special device that recorded their battle ratios of wins and losses within a time span of at least a month." Showing the next of several boats, he continued, "For the first round, trainers would battle on a boat for the first round to lower the numbers even more depending on how many participate. The next showed a fleet of smaller boats. The third round would be considered a race where a trainer or more could work together as they raced with their Pokemon to reach the island. When the set amount of trainers to reach the island first or within the time given will proceed to the next round." "It sounds like just a big elimination round," Ash said, receiving nods from the others, getting a shrug from the boy. That's to be expected with how many trainers that may participate. Though after those few rounds the battles will be on land in four corners of the island, as team battles for several rounds till they're the last teams left," he said, showing one with different elements to test their adaptation to different environments and other people's fighting styles. And the diagram was a single arena, and the final round is where the teams that made it to the finals will battle each other until one person on each team is left with Pokemon that can still fight. The remaining Pokemon will fight and the trainer left will proceed to the semifinals. Once there they will fight and proceed to the finals and so on. "Geez Naruto, you sure put a lot of thought into this, huh?" Ash said, laying back with Pikachu and Eevee laying on his stomach. I've been thinking this over since I was a kid. It would be simple to have so much time to think things through, though I still have some kinks to iron out. By the time we finish the Kalos region one should have everything down," he explained as Iris chimed in. "And then there is funding. Getting permission to build on the island, and sponsors," she said, getting a groan. "Yeah, there is all that. I already got a steady funding from my creating the Holocaster and the X-Transceiver. I was going to mass produce my ATs as a means of trainers getting around faster than on a bike, but there are a few kinks I'm working out. Plus I've got some funding from the other champions and the director of the Pokemon League," he said, getting a wide-eyed look from Ash. "You know," he said, jolting up, making Pikachu and Eevee fall to the ground in a tumble as they gave him a glare, making him chuckle sheepishly. Looking at Ash, he shrugged, saying, "I've spoken to him through video messages but never in person. He looks like a nice guy." Yawning, he saw the clock, saying, "Well, I'm going to get some shut-eye. Don't want to be late for our battle tomorrow." Grabbing his blanket, he fell asleep the moment Hits wrapped her arm around him, bringing him into her side with the others following suit till the three fell asleep. "Wow, Ash, and here I thought you were bad," Iris said, yawning till Serena tapped her shoulder, making her turn to see even Ash was asleep, getting a sweat drop the two girls who decided to join them in the realm of sleep after they said goodnight to each other. Oh, the next morning, I still can't believe you woke me up that way," Ash said, mildly twitching as he sent a glare Naruto's way, who whistled innocently, much to his ire. "We did try to wake you the more conventional way, Ash, but as I said before, you're not the morning starly type," Iris said with a giggle, which Serena copied not too soon after as Ash twitched before slapping Naruto upside the head. "Sorry, not too in control of my actions," he said with a grin, getting a glare from the soon-to-be legendary, thinking, "Oh Ash, you have no idea who you just threw the challenge flag at. And I always win. So Ash, you want to challenge the gym leader first?" Naruto asked, getting a shrug, saying, You can go first if you want. I'm still trying to figure out on how I'm going to approach this," he said as the group of four made it to the front of the gym. Santaloon City Gym. Walking inside, Naruto and the others couldn't help but be impressed at the style befitting of a bug-type gym. The walls were cluttered with tasteful photos of Pokémon and landscapes. The floor though was a maze with spider webs that they had to walk on one of the strands to reach the end. Naruto said, "Gotta admit, girls got style, but who goes first?" They all gave him a look, making him sigh as he said sarcastically, "Who was I kidding? Of course it would be my honor to possibly walk across thin lines of webbing to possibly fall to my doom. Thanks everyone." Returning his team to their Pokeballs, he walked through the thin webs as he came across a few close calls before reaching a wood platform that had more photos and frames with a blonde-haired girl standing in the center. She wore a pair of forest green cargo pants with a white ribbon belt with a white stomach-bearing top. She was a blonde with sea green eyes holding a camera while she blushed looking at Ash. Looking to the side, Naruto saw Ash was blushing, getting a small smirk, thinking, blackmail. The girl said in a cheerful tone, "Hiya, I'm Viola, the gym leader of Santaloon City. Which one of you are my challengers?" Naruto and Ash stepped forward. "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze of Twinleaf Town. If it's okay with you, I'll be your first opponent." She nodded when a small stand appeared as she directed, "Will all non-battlers please move to the stands?" Wishing him luck, they all joined the stands with various other trainers who were chatting amongst each other. "Oh, arena floor, oh. Alright Naruto, this will be a 2-on-2 battle. I can't switch Pokemon, but you are free to should you want. No winner will be chosen until one side is unable to continue." "Understood," she said, setting her camera down, getting a nod from him as she reached into her side pocket pulling out a Pokeball. "Go Surskit." Out came a blue water strider, you know those bugs that look like spiders that you'd see just push their way across the water. As he blinked, information came up. Surskit. Type: Bug, Water. LV. 10. Gender: Male. Condition: Perfect. Nodding, he said, "Alright Integra, let's kick things off." Tossing her Pokeball, he saw her information. Integra: Chespin. Type: Grass. LV. 15. Condition: Perfect. When Integra came out, she looked at the opponent before looking at Naruto, saying, "He's my opponent. I was expecting something stronger." Chuckling at the confused expression on her face as all he heard was Chespin speak in her standard tongue as she pointed to her Surskit. He said, "Alright Integra, let's do this and start things off with Aerial Ace." The small chipmunk took off as a streak in the air as she pushed past the water skater, seeing it spin. "Ah Surskit, don't just take it, try to slow it down with string shot," she commanded, seeing it right itself before shooting out a large rope of webbing at the chipmunk right when she came around again, causing her to get caught. This is so disgusting," she said, mentally getting a laugh from the others. "Try to claw your way out and finish this quick with rollout," he said as she managed to claw her way out and curled into a ball before she slammed into the water skater, sending it into a wall unconscious. The ref on the sidelines raised the flag, saying, "Surskit is unable to battle, and so the battle goes to Integra." The crowd booed, calling him a cheater and such, getting a twitching eyebrow, especially when they started throwing stuff into the stadium before it stopped when Naruto blasted them with killer intent, making them see a multi-tailed shadow glaring at them. He snorted before stopping it as he turned to the gym leader before him, saying, "I do apologize about that. You were about to send out your next Pokemon." She nodded, fishing in her pocket for a Pokeball. "Oh stands, oh. Man, Naruto sure does hate it when people question his skill as a trainer," Iris said, looking to the side, seeing the crowd, who was once boisterous, now lulled into silence. "Wouldn't you be? I mean, he's trained with his Pokemon for some time now, Integra included, and when he starts to win, someone claims he's a cheater. I'd be no better," Ash said, watching her throw out a decent-sized butterfly with a beautiful pattern, making him pull out his Pokédex. Vivian. The scale Pokemon. Type: Bug, Flying. Gender: Female. LV. 12. Condition: Perfect. I agree with Ash. They don't know how hard Naruto works with his Pokemon just for a group of fanboys to condemn him for winning a battle, something every trainer has to do, Serena said before a boy next to her snorted. "Pleased that Naruto guy is a cheater. There is no other way to explain it," he said, getting a raised eyebrow from Iris. "And how is he a cheater? Did he throw something at her Pokemon? Did he do something illegal?" she asked, getting a snort. "I know what I've seen, and when this is over I'll expose him for the cheater he is," he said before turning back to the fight, ignoring the looks he got from Ash and the others. "Oh, stadium floor, oh. Alright Naruto, is Integra still up for a battle? She asked, seeing Integra stand strong if slightly with a slight huff from her. I can still fight, especially against a butterfly, she said, getting a nod from him as he said while checking her condition. We're already on our end, if not a bit winded. Let's continue, he said. Integra, Chespin, type, grass, gender, female, LV, 15. Condition, good. Alright Integra, let's finish this quickly with Rock Tomb, he said as a hole appeared over the butterfly as rocks fell through it as the insect tried to avoid them as best it could before one landed on her wing as it freed itself before it got covered in them. Viola said, don't let them get away with that. Vivian used gust followed by aerial ace. A strong gust of wind caught Integra as she was hit from both sides by the speeding butterfly before she fell to the ground by another gust of wind. Ah, Integra, Naruto said, seeing her struggle to get up when she was caught in a burst of light when it cleared, and in her place was now a whiter chipmunk that was in what appeared to be armor, judging from the plates on her arms. He heard through his headphones. Integra, Quilladin. Type, grass, LV, 16. Condition, okay. Unlike Naruto, who was happy, Integra was pissed, saying, what happened to my adorable petite frame? I'm a bloody bowling ball. Rounding on her trainer, she said, You did this to me. Viola and her Vivian watching this asked, Naruto, is your Quilladin alright? If you need to take 5, that's fine. Shaking his head, he said, Nah, she needs to work out her frustrations is all. He looked at Integra, who was now mildly level-headed, saying, right. She looked at him before nodding as he said, alright then, let's finish this. Integra used Stone Edge. Shards of earth formed a ring around her as they were sent flying at the butterfly at a speed that Vivian couldn't counter as it was buffered until it couldn't get up, as the referee proclaimed. Vivian is unable to battle. As such, the victory goes to Naruto of Twinleaf Town, he said, getting boos from the crowd while his friends cheered as the stairs came down, letting Ash and the others congratulate them, getting a smile from the two of them as she went to the nearby Pokemon machine to heal her team. While she went to a cabinet to grab a beetle with 2 emerald green gems acting as the back of the beetle, saying, Naruto, it is my honor to give you the bug badge, so carry this with pride. The bond between you and your Pokemon despite your quirks shows this. He looked down at Integra, saying mentally, great job Integra. And here you said my training was difficult. She groaned, saying, yeah, but it was. Anyways, can I go in my Pokeball now? I'm exhausted. People glamorize evolutions, but it's exhausting work, you know. Pulling out her Pokeball, she was sent inside, getting a comfortable sigh as he put his first badge in its case, leaving 7 empty slots, saying, 1 down, 7 to go, and I feel we're going to be dealing with quite a bit during this journey. Patting Ash on the shoulder, he said, good luck, man. She's a tough one. He nodded as Pikachu hopped off his shoulder as he soon joined Naruto's, getting a raised eyebrow from the red head. Aren't you going to battle? I mean, she has 2 Pokemon who are weak against you, he said to the small mouse, who shrugged. Ash never was one for type advantages, remember. He battles showing that a type advantage only gets a trainer so far, Pikachu said, sitting on his head, getting a twitching eyebrow. You do know we're already in the stands and have front row seats. There is no need to sit on my head, he said in irritation, getting what sounded like a snigger from the electric rodent. Yeah, but all your lady friends talk about how soft your hair is, and I gotta agree. Soft like a flaffy yawn night flaffy head, Pikachu said, getting comfy before he curled up on Naruto's head, making him mutter. Don't strangle the mouse. Don't strangle the mouse no matter how much you want to, he chanted silently as he ignored the snigger from the 2 girls while a boy next to him continued to send glares at him, which Naruto continued to ignore. Stadium floor. Alright Ash, same rules as with your friend. 2 Pokemon each. When one side can't continue, the battle is over. Shall we start? She said silently, checking him out, and like what she saw, same with Ash. So Ash, I must ask, why didn't you keep your cute little Pikachu? He would have made quick work with my team, she asked, getting a smirk. I don't focus on type advantages because they only get a trainer so far. Besides, there will be battles in the future where Pikachu will be needed, as I wanted to christen my first gym battle with a Pokemon from this region, he said, pulling out a Pokeball. Let's go, Froakie, Ash exclaimed as he threw out the same blue toad from when he and Naruto first met and thanks and saw. Froakie, type, water, gender, Male. LV. 15. The small toad opened its eyes seeing Ash and waved lazily, getting a smile in return before turning to see her throw out the same water skater. Let's not give either of them the chance to do anything and hit them a string shot, she exclaimed as the small insect had a rope of silk shoot out its mouth and attempted to catch the toad before it vanished. What? She exclaimed as both her and her Surskit were surprised as Ash laughed, saying, I gotta thank Naruto for helping me come up with different training exercises because we spent 2 weeks in the forest training. Now use aerial ace, he said as a blur shot past the bug a couple of times before it had enough and jumped in the air. She said, try to get it to slow down using bubble beam. Make a screen, she said as the water skater shot out a barrage of bubbles that exploded on contact with the ground that caused dust to cover the arena. Her attack did as she wanted as Froakie couldn't see anywhere in the screen when he heard Ash's voice. Froakie, calm down and use mind reader. When you do, use water pulse, he said as the small toad did as he was told, sensing his opponent nearby as he ran through the screen. Oh stands oh. What does mind reader do? Serena asked Naruto and Iris, who were watching the battle. Mind reader does exactly as the move entails. It senses the target's movements, letting its attack land without fail, Naruto said, looking at the battle as the insect was caught in a large bubble that rippled, making the Pokemon inside cry out. But if that's the case, then why didn't Ash just use aerial ace again? And isn't water pulse a water type that won't do much against Surskit? She asked again. With Ash, he doesn't go for type advantages, he wants to show the growth of a Pokemon, not go for the stronger move. As for the water pulse, yes, it is a water move, but if he's aiming for what I think he is, then you'll see, Naruto said, not paying attention to the kid next to him who kept sending sideways glances at him. They saw Froakie hop into the air and land on top of Surskit's head, causing the two of them to crash through the bottom of the bubble, letting it explode outward, creating a strong spray of water. I must admit that was brilliant. With Surskit being the size it was, he couldn't get it to hold still long enough to land the attack without missing. Was 100% probability, so he used water pulse to get it to hold still, Naruto explained, seeing the water skater knocked unconscious for the second time, getting boos from the other viewers until Naruto sent another killer intent-induced glare, making them stop. Idiots, Naruto muttered, seeing the crowd shut up while Naruto and the others, including a now awake Pikachu, watched the next fight after asking about the last match as the ref called the first match in Ash's favor. Stadium floor. My, it seems I got 2 tough trainers this time for me to fight a duo that beat a single Pokemon without taking either too much damage or no damage at all. Makes me wonder what things will be like during your future battles, she said with a smile that Ash found breathtaking. I guess you'll just have to wait and find out, Viola, he said as Froakie hopped on his shoulder, crying out in agreement. I guess I will. Let's go, Vivian, she said, tossing out her butterfly. Can you continue or do you want a break, buddy? He asked, getting a shrug, who tapped his chin before shaking its head before going back to the stadium. It seems we're still in this. Froakie, start with aerial ace and follow up with smackdown, he said as the toad vanished, causing a blue streak to fly through the air, hitting the butterfly before it fell to the ground. Get up, Vivian, and use energy ball rapid fire after you give Froakie a spin with string shot, she said, wrapping the small toad in the webbing and spun around as it let go, shooting a large electric green ball that was fired shot after shot, leaving Froakie flying into a wall. Ah, Froakie, Ash exclaimed, seeing the toad struggle to get up after getting hit with so many energy balls in a single go. Stands that can't be good, Serena said, getting a shake of the head from both legends. Froakie was already spent from taking the backlash from the water pulse's explosion, if not slightly. But taking a series of energy balls like that is sure to have him down. I hate to put him down, but unless Arceus is looking out for Ash, Froakie might lose, Naruto said, hoping Ash comes across a miracle, starting to get annoyed with the kid, more like kids glaring at him. But it seemed like Arceus heard his prayers as Froakie was enveloped in light, much like Integra when Froakie grew larger with his eyes protruding back, making blade-like extensions. The cotton fluffing that was around his neck extended as well when Naruto heard. Frogadier. Type. Water. LV. 16. Gender. Male. Condition. Good. Looking at the ceiling, he thought, thank you, Lady Arceus. Now let's just hope the push you've given Ash will be enough. Even with the evolution, he still has so little energy in him. Looking closer, Naruto saw the water in the air condense around Frogadier that started to surround it in streams, making him go wide-eyed. What is that? A move? Serena asked, getting a negative. That's Torrent. Ash may just turn this around since that boosts all water-type moves' power by quite the amount, he explained. Oh, stadium floor, oh. Alright Frogadier, let's hit things off with water gun, he said as the stream converged into a large burst of water that exploded out at the butterfly, wetting its wings, causing it to fall to the ground, doing its best to get its wings dry. Oh no, Vivian. Come on, you gotta get up, she said as it was unable to move as it got hit by another water gun, making it impossible for it to continue. As the ref walked forward, he saw that Frogadier had fallen unconscious after that second water gun. As he announced, both Pokemon are unable to battle. By the guidelines of the match, a best 2 of 2, the victory goes to Ash of Pallet Town. Like with Naruto's battle, the rest of the crowd booed while his friends cheered for Ash as they ran to where Ash was, seeing him be given his badge and a piece of paper which he opened only to quickly close it. He attempted to place it in his pocket, but with Naruto's reflexes he swiped it from him before he had the chance, as he and the girls read the small message. Congratulations for winning against me, cutie. Good luck in the future. P.S. Here's my number. Under that was her number to call her and her holocaster it to video chat her and what times she was available, as Naruto said with a grin. Ah, Ashy boy's got an admirer. So are you going to call her? Blushing, he snatched the paper away, saying, what are you talking about? She's like, your age is no matter. And it doesn't, because she's only 2 years older than you. Plus Ash, you're 16, you're of legal age, especially since you're a trainer. I say you at least give her a chance with the way you two were eye-humping each other, Iris said honestly, with the others agreeing with her as they made a return to the Pokemon Center for Ash and Naruto to get their recently evolved partners healed. Hey, he and the others heard coming to see 6 boys walking into the Pokemon Center, each with a ferocious glare to any other person except to Naruto and his friends. Iris said, hey, you're that boy who started claiming Naruto and Ash cheated, making everyone in the lobby turn to see what was this all about. I don't claim I know they cheated. No Pokemon is capable of learning a type of move that is outside its typing, the boy pointed out, only for Naruto to say. Then how do you explain Charizard? Even though he is a fire and flying type, it can learn Dragon Claw, a dragon type move. What about Thunder Punch or Shadow Claw? Both are type outside of its own, Naruto said, pulling out Amaterasu, letting the large reptile glare down at the boy as she growled in his face. You claim to know something without proper research, as there are hundreds upon thousands of different Pokemon who use moves outside their typing. That's how Pokemon survive against each other. But you're too foolish to realize this, Naruto said stoically as he lovingly rubbed Amaterasu's head, getting a content growl from her before her eyes narrowed on him again. Grabbing his and Ash's Pokemon back from Nurse Joy as he gave her their thanks, he said, so what do you want? If you and your pals haven't noticed, we're trying to relax after our first gym battle, seeing as Integra and Frogadier deserve it. I demand you return those badges. You cheated and these 5 agree with me, he said, getting a snort from the redhead. And what will you do if we don't? I doubt you'd provide a valid case without backing from Viola herself or the ref who was ringside. Face it, brat, you have no proof saying we cheated. All we did was use moves that had the advantage, that's it, Naruto said, leaning into her side as she lifted her tail as it wrapped around him. We challenge you and Ash to a 6-on-6 battle. We win, you return your badge and revoke your trainer licenses, he said, getting boos from other trainers for something so absurd. My friend doesn't have 3 Pokemon as one is still recovering physically. I'll battle with 6 of my own. And one of them is right here, Amaterasu, Naruto said, gesturing his left belt, getting protest from Ash. Naruto, that's not necessary, I can. He started till Naruto raised his hand. Frogadier is still recovering, and Eevee is too young. Your fletchling is just strong enough to handle 1 or 2 Pokemon. And no offense, Ash, but I doubt Pikachu can handle the rest of them on his own should he be your last man standing, Naruto said, stating the facts. I don't doubt your skills, Ash. You're a very capable trainer who was offered a position of a frontier brain and beat 2 men who were frontier brains who had legendary Pokemon. But this guy has been on my nerves since we got to the gym. He wants to be put in his place with his friends falling with him. Fine, Naruto said, turning to Nurse Joy as he said. You wouldn't happen to have an arena out back, would you? he asked, getting a nod from her as he told them to follow them to him around the back. "Oh, with Viola, oh. I wonder what Ash is doing right now," she said aloud, sitting on a web with her camera messing with the controls as she took a few experimental shots before turning to look at the one she took of Naruto and Ash with their friends. It was a habit to take a photo of the trainers who beat her and earned her badge, but this held more meaning to her as both of them had the promise to be more than a simple trainer. But Ash, oh Ash, just the thought of him made her heart race. And she wanted to be there with them every step of the way during their journey and get him to feel for her as she does for him. Nodding to herself, she ran to the upper floor, which was her bedroom, and packed her important stuff. Clothing, underwear, photography sets, and other goods before she ran out the room to the Pokemon Center in hopes they have yet to leave so she could join them. Running out of the gym, locking it up, she came across the center to hear a loud commotion coming from the back and instantly noticed the target of her affections and his friends, save for Naruto, who she couldn't see in the sea of people. She said his group's attention. "Hey Ash." As they turned, they greeted the blonde as Iris said, "Viola, what are you doing here? Should you be at the gym?" Shaking her head, she said, "I wanted to join you guys. But when I got here I heard a commotion and came to see this. What's with all the people?" Ash said, "After we won a badge from you, 6 guys confronted us saying we cheated and should return the badges, claiming that a Pokemon can't use a move outside its typing." Groaning, she said, "I know who they are. Some fanboys who's been around here since I first became a gym leader. They would go as far as to attack the trainers who beat me. I found it aggravating, and when I had enough at that point, due to the condition the Pokemon and trainers would be in, they had their licenses revoked and were fined." "Well, you might want to see this one," Serena said, bringing her up to where they were so they could see the entire battle. "Oh, stadium, oh. So what are the rules for this match then, gentlemen? Other than this being a 6-on-6. Naruto said, laying against Amaterasu's stomach as she laid on her side, watching them with no interest. "As we agreed, this will be a 6-on-6 battle. So one from each of us, against your 6 as weak as they are. Gym battle rules apply, but neither side is allowed to substitute," the boy who caused all this stated, getting a growl from Amaterasu before she stopped as the growl was replaced with a more passive purr while rubbing her chin. "So how about we get started then? I'm tired and just want to relax with my friends before we leave for our next gym battle," the redhead said, bored, a sentiment his girls shared. Feeling confident, a boy with medium girth stood at the other end of the battlefield while Naruto stood at the other end. Grabbing the Pokeball, he said, "Go Abomasnow." From its confines came a large tree-like Pokemon that at the end of its arms and bottom of its legs were green. Abomasnow. Type: Grass Ice. Gender: Male. LV: 35. Condition: Good. Horribly bored, he turned to the fire type he's using as a pillow and asked, "What do you think, Ama-chan? Rock it or knock it?" Much like the normal human, they only heard her roar, but he heard, "Knock it. He's just too weak to be considered a warm-up." Thinking, he said, "Tsukiyumi, you want to stretch your legs." He got a positive from her saying, "Cutie, you just want to see me, my sexy ass." Not fighting the truth, he nodded mentally as he grabbed her Pokeball, saying, "Leave them in a frozen bliss." Tsukiyumi. Out came the white slender Weavile, who examined her claws before winking at him as she ran to the center of the stadium. Tsukiyumi. Weavile. Type: Ice Dark. Gender: Female. LV: 64. Condition: Perfect. Everyone who never seen her before were allured by her fur as the light caught it. He said, "Tsukiyumi, show them what happens when they get overconfident. Use agility to boost your speed, then follow that up with Iron Tail." Grinning, she felt the muscles in her legs strain together as she ran around him a few times to make it dizzy and went in for the Punisher with her tail turning to steel when she hit his head with an upward motion, making it lift off the ground slightly. The boy was about to say something akin to his cheating as Naruto cut him off, saying, "If you have time to whine, use it to counter. Tsukiyumi, run in close, and when I give the signal, use it." She nodded, running at the staggering Pokemon while its trainer said, "Abomasnow, use Ice Punch." Its fist froze and swung down, hoping to catch, only for it to her to slide on her back just under its chest when a large ball formed between her claws. "Now focus, blast," he said, letting the large sphere fly up, lifting the frosted tree Pokemon off his feet and onto his back with swirls in his eyes. The nurse nearby counted the first of 6 battles in his favor. Next to her was a large LCD screen with Naruto's photo and 6 slots with Tsukiyumi on the right with the 6 trainers and Abomasnow in another with the trainer who fought earlier shaded out with his Pokemon as well. Another boy took his place throwing out what appeared to be a sword holding its sheath as Naruto saw the information. Honedge. Type: Steel Ghost. Gender: Male. LV: 34. Condition: Perfect. Both Naruto and Tsukiyumi were interested in this Pokemon as this one was unknown to them and said telepathically, "Tsukiyumi, be careful with this one, even though it's a ghost and steel type, we don't know what its limitations are." She nodded and got ready when the trainer said, "Honedge, use Fury Cutter." Giving its affirmative, it flew towards her as Naruto said, "Jump back and counter with Night Slash." Just as Honedge's attack was about to land, she got back quickly and brought her claws that now radiated darkness down on its blade, causing it to fly back across the field as it struggled to get up from his trainer's encouragement. Once it did, it was surrounded by light as it split into 2 swords, forming an X as the 2 stood at attention, letting the new information connect to his Pokédex as he saw. Duo Blade. Type: Ghost Steel. Gender: Male. LV: 35. Condition: Stable. Liking the new information he received, Tsukiyumi thought, maybe things just got a bit more interesting, huh, Naruto? Agreeing mentally, he said, "Let's test out its new power." Hit it again with Night Slash. Running at it again, the attack landed with ease, making him raise an eyebrow until his earbuds said, "Duo Blade ability identified. No guard." The accuracy of the moves of this Pokemon and all Pokemon targeting this Pokemon absolute. Both of them were curious about that ability and its usefulness, but ignored it until they could do further study on it, saying, "Let's finish this quickly and go for a combination Night Claw." She smirked, making the trainer and Pokemon both get on edge. "Oh, with Ash and friends, oh. Night Claw. I've never heard of a move like that. What about you, Ash?" Viola asked, sitting next to him. He shrugged, saying, "It's a first for me. But he did tell me his mom is a well-known coordinator, so he could have decided to use the style of combining moves together, but Night Slash is a dark move which is already effective against a ghost type, so what could it be combining with?" They watched as the claws turned black until it gained a phantom look to them as they extended, making him go wide-eyed, saying, "He mixed it with Shadow Claw." Serena asked, "But don't ghosts do normal damage against their own type? What's the point behind that?" Viola said, "No, it's the same principle of dragons being weak against a dragon. But it makes me wonder what other moves he and his Pokemon came up with." Oh, Stadium sighed, oh. Wait for the energy to build to a point you can't hold it anymore and finish it in one blow. Naruto said as the claws made of 2 energies started to grow till they were as long as her arms. They pulsed as Naruto gave the go-ahead and slashed the dual-sword Pokemon before its trainer could give a command, causing an explosion when the 2 were sent flying back unconscious, making Naruto smile. "You did a wonderful job, Tsukiyumi. I guess we're going to have to take that move back to the drawing board to figure out how to avoid that backlash, huh?" he said, returning her to her Pokeball to rest as the LCD screen had both Tsukiyumi and the newly evolved Duoblade fade on the screen. The 6 trainers whooped about, finally knocking him down a peg until Naruto said, "I wouldn't be so chipper, especially since that was a first-time combat move we tested in the field. The fact that she had to use a lot of her energy to hold it is the only reason it resulted in a draw." Another boy pulled out Fennekin's evolution Braixen. Braixen. Type: Fire. Gender: Male. LV: 32. Condition: Perfect. Thinking it over, he thought, "Hey Zoran, it's been a while since you've battled, save for keeping some of Sycamore's more rowdy Pokemon in check. You up for it?" She didn't even reply. Instead, she charged out of her Pokeball and roared, causing the floor to shake, making the small soon-to-be psychic to cower behind his trainer, making the 2 snigger, especially when said fire starter jumped in its Pokeball, considering this a forfeit, much to the trainer's humiliation, as Braixen and his trainer's icon faded on the screen, letting the score become 3 lost on their side with 1 lost on Naruto's. Oh, Ash and company, oh. The group of 4 just stared at the field with blank faces until Ash said, That, I don't even know what to call that. I think Zoran scared the life out of that poor Pokemon," Serena said, getting a nod from the other 2 sympathetic women. At least that stopped the trainers from getting too big-headed, thinking just because an experimental move had a bad backlash, Ash said, getting a nod as the trainers who were once cocksure were now hesitant to fight. Why didn't he just use some of these Pokemon against me? He could have won with no effort, Viola asked. Naruto just arrived here at Kalos the same day Ash and I did. He wanted to work on Pokemon that haven't battled and to test their strengths. And as such he knew if he used one of his other Pokemon the battle would have been pointless as they're already powerful enough to beat every gym on their own, Iris said, getting a nod from the others. It's true. And not too recently he and the rest of us got some Pokemon that suffered a bit of abuse and Nurse Joy asked us to take care of them, Serena said, seeing Viola's wide-eyed expression, saying. What other Pokemon does he have besides Quilladin, a Charizard and a Weavile? I mean, this is ridiculous, especially with how many Pokeballs he has on his belts. That's more than any trainer can have at one time, she said. He is a professor. He assists Professor Sycamore with a few studies, but he's a legitimate professor who was trained by the other professors, Iris said, making her head snap in her direction so quickly you would think her neck snapped. He's a professor, she exclaimed, getting a nod from the others as they turned back to the battle. Oh, Stadium sighed. Oh. Hey, either of you ladies going to send out your next Pokemon, or are the rest of you going to forfeit? I mean, either is fine, but we're wasting valuable daylight that could be used to get to the next gym, Naruto said as Zoran started to get irritated as she growled, making the trainers jump before two of them ran with the trainer who started this shook. So kid, you going to run too or battle? Naruto said slowly as the kid steeled his nerves as he tossed out a large panda-like Pokemon. Pangoro. Type. Fighting. Dark. Gender. Girl. LV. 42. Thinking, he said to Zoran. Finally, seems like we have an actual challenge, huh? Agreeing with him, she got ready for a fight, as did her opponent. Pangoro use Circle Throw, the trainer said as it charged at Garchomp. Before it gets in close, grab it and use Dragon Claw, Naruto said as the Pokemon had its arm grabbed and slashed across the chest with a purple claw, making the panda slide back. Don't give them any time to counter, use Brick Break, Naruto said as Zoran charged with her claw glowing white. This time she smashed it over her head, making it collapse to the ground unconscious. The moment Nurse Joy announced Naruto the winner, the group who challenged them quickly ran off without warning, leaving Naruto with his friends. When he saw Viola, he said, Hey Viola, what's up? She shrugged, saying, I wanted to join you all on you guys' journey. Don't get me wrong, I love the gym, but it's all become so drawn out. I want to get out and enjoy things for a while. All the beginning trainers had already got my badge, so it's fine. He shrugged before yawning, saying, Well, that's fine, but I don't know about all of you, but this guy is getting some shut-eye. Did he just rhyme? Viola asked, getting a nod from the others before following after him, agreeing about leaving for the next gym tomorrow at sunrise. Hey Naruto, where are we heading? Ash asked as they left Sandaloon City, as said boy looked over to his friend, seeing him wear a hooded red jacket with a snow-white messenger bag with multiple pockets and a new charm on his necklace, being a silver feather around his neck, going along with his lightning bolt necklace which he found in the box he forgot about at Sycamore's lab, which he had one of his Pokemon deliver. After they beat the first gym, Naruto received a call from his mom and sisters telling him they were coming to Kalos to see him on his journey, and they were going to meet at the Battle Chateau where they were heading to now. Well, before we head out to Sillage City, we're heading to a place that could offer a bit of enlightenment and help with training Ash. Besides, we're meeting a few people there, Naruto said, getting a curious look from them. Who are we meeting anyways, Naruto? Serena asked, getting a small smile from Naruto. You'll see, but it's going to take a while before they meet us, so I decided it would be fine to introduce you to a part of Kalos like the Battle Chateau. I feel that we'll come across some interesting people, Naruto said as they stood in front of a large manor. Welcome to the Battle Chateau, Naruto said as the doors opened when he was given his Grand Duke cloak, which was purple in color, as Naruto explained the European feudal system and the beginning of the chateau. So we win a battle to earn the lowest rank, which are Baron and Baroness, Ash said, getting a nod from him and Viola, who had a bright yellow cloak, making her a Marchioness. That's right, Ash, you gotta beat a trainer of Baron or Baroness to gain the title and to proceed to Viscount and Viscountess by beating 5 trainers of your rank, and to rise to the next you must beat more trainers of that rank to rise again, Viola explained, getting an understanding nod from the others when a gloved hand landed on Naruto's shoulder, making him turn. Grand Duke Naruto, I challenge you to a battle, a woman of 20 said, making him stare at her before nodding. Okay, Grand Duchess Mariah, we shall battle if you wish, he said when the drapes on the side of the building slid open, showing a battlefield. You're about to see two of the Chateau's strongest battle. Ash, everyone just watch, Viola said when a man wearing a gray tuxedo could be seen scaling up the wall. Oh Chateau battlefield oh. The battle between Grand Duke Naruto and Grand Duchess Mariah will now commence. Pick your Pokemon and touch to celebrate the history and sanctity of the Chateau, the judge said as Naruto and Mariah nodded, grabbing a Pokeball as the two tapped the buttons together before walking to opposite ends of the field. Take flight Staraptor. Leave them in a frozen bliss Tsukiyumi. Erupting from their Pokeballs, the two Pokemon leapt out as Naruto stared at the Pokemon in front of them as the information came to him. Staraptor. LV. 60. Type. Flying normal. Gender. Male. Tsukiyumi. Weavile. LV. 64. Type. Ice Dark. Gender. Female. As the challenger Mariah may have the first move, Naruto said, getting a nod from the woman across from him. Staraptor, use Aerial Ace and when you get in close, round on that Weavile with close combat, she said as it cried out, speeding down towards Weavile who was waiting for a command. Wait for it to come in close, and when it does, use agility to outmaneuver it, and when it's open, fire a barrage of ice shards, he said, getting a nod from the Ice Dark type as it outran Staraptor when it dive bombed Tsukiyumi when she fired the barrage of ice shards. Staraptor, use Double Team, she said as it made doubles of itself as the ice shards hit a double as they flew through it. Now Staraptor, use Brave Bird, Mariah said as it flew straight to the ground, coating itself in flames before it righted itself at the last second, making it coat itself in blue fire, charging at Tsukiyumi. Tsukiyumi, use Ice Beam on the floor to change the terrain and skate across the ground to avoid it, Naruto said as the floor was hit with an ice beam that caused the ground to be coated in a sheen of ice as she slid across the ground while the flying Pokemon missed. Now use Brick Break once you get in close, he said as she skated across the floor with her clawed hand, smashing it into the bird, bringing it to the ground. Get up quick and use Quick Attack, she said when Naruto beat her to the punch. Before it gets the chance, hit it with an ice beam. As he said it, the ice Pokemon fired a concentrated beam of ice towards the downed flying type, causing it to slide back to its trainer, which she returned. Running towards him, Tsukiyumi sat on his shoulder comfortably, making him smile as she nuzzled his head affectionately, saying, I forgot how nice it felt up here. I wonder why I haven't done this after so long. I mean, I'd get on Zoran's and Amaterasu's backs, sometimes even Chris and the others, but I haven't done this since I was a Sneasel. He chuckled as they were declared the winner. Naruto and Mariah shook hands before she walked back up with Naruto close behind until he was near the others and said, and that Ash is how a battle goes here. Any of you up for it? The others shook their heads except Ash, who nodded as a boy wearing a cap that resembled Fletchling challenged Ash to a battle, which Ash won with Pikachu beating Fletchling, bringing him to the rank of Baron. Watching Ash and the others converse with the rest of the people in the chateau, he couldn't help but smile, seeing things go so right before they heard a set of laughs. This laugh, are they the group that Ash and Iris keep talking about? Naruto thought to his Pokemon as they shrugged, finishing their monologue. We'll be taking your Pokemon now, James said when he pressed a button on a controller when a large robot appeared, sucking up trainers' Pokeballs, storing them in a separate container stored in its back. Tsukiyumi, you ready for some more fun? He said, getting a nod from her as she hopped off his shoulder. Tsukiyumi, use Ice Beam to freeze the robot and go in close with a Night Slash to destroy the vacuum tube, Naruto said, attracting attention from Team Rocket as Tsukiyumi shot a beam of ice at the robot and ran towards the tube. Oh no you don't, James said, tossing out Inkay, which Ash had Pikachu defeat, allowing Tsukiyumi to slice through the tube. Ash, seeing his opening, told Pikachu to fire a Thunderbolt at the container, which caused the robot to explode, blasting Team Rocket and the talking Meowth into the stratosphere, making him sigh. Scratching his head, he said to the others after they gave the other trainers their Pokemon, did that Meowth actually speak like a human? Yeah, I think he said he wanted to impress a female Meowth and practice talking like a human. The Meowth ended up with a Persian if I'm right, Ash said, getting a sympathetic hiss from Naruto. Ouch, poor Meowth, I kind of feel bad for the poor guy, Naruto said, getting a nod from the others when he felt the 3 pairs of arms wrap around him, one around his waist, one in his upper body and the last around his head. Guess who? The 3 voices said, making him hum, although he could tell Ash and Iris were surprised on who they were. An overly friendly traveling company randomly giving away hugs and $1 million Poke dollars, he said, getting a bop on the head. No you idiot, it's us. Skyla said, getting a laugh from Elisa and Kushina as Viola stared at Naruto and the others. Kushina wore a pair of tight black jeans hugging her curves and a tight navy shirt hugging her generous chest and a royal purple vest with a pair of running shoes. Skyla wore a pair of denim shorts on top of black leggings and an open aviator's jacket with a red shirt and boots. Elisa wore a pair of tight leather jeans and short-sleeved shirt with a pair of high-heeled shoes with her hair done with a bang coming over her right eyebrow while her hair was pulled into a pineapple-style cut. Wait, you're Kushina Uzumaki, the queen of contest's son and the younger brother of Unova's electric and flying gyms. Viola said, getting a nod from Naruto and the others. Yes, you mean you don't see the resemblance in some form? Elise said as they four stood together with the same blank expression while Skyla was naturally happy. She had to practice the expression for some time until she finally got it down as they all stood in the same height range or slightly shorter on one end. Ash and the others stared at Naruto and then to the others before Ash slapped his forehead seeing the resemblance as he said, I wondered why I saw a bit of Skyla and Elisa when we met you, Naruto. I honestly thought you already knew and just didn't say anything, Naruto said, getting a groan from Ash. Seriously, such a little kid, Iris said, getting a light glare from Ash. Why don't we head to a Pokemon Center? It's going to be a ways before we reach Sillage City and meet the gym leader there, Naruto said, getting a shrug from the others as they walked heading to the next town. Oh, Amberette Town. Oh. So Naruto, where are we heading? Ash asked as they reached the town after dealing with the debacle of Team Rocket. I had some fossils I collected while helping out Sycamore that I had placed in storage and wanted to have them restored. Besides, for some reason today just seems like a day that attracts trouble for some reason. Call it a sixth sense, Naruto said, walking through the town when he heard a loud explosion. What was that? Serena said, alarmed, getting an irritated sigh from Naruto. That would be the trouble I felt. Come on, let's go, he said, getting a nod from the others as they ran towards the smoke weaving through the screaming mob. Oh, Amberette Fossil Restoration Site. Oh. Running into the building, Naruto and the others saw it was partially fine save for a few holes in the walls and some rooms were a mess as the head researcher scrambled around. Michael, what happened here? Naruto said, running in. Seeing the head researcher turn to Naruto before running towards him. Naruto, thank goodness you're here, we need your help, he said, making the boy raise an eyebrow. First calm down, your breathing is erratic, he said, getting a nod as he took a deep breath before exhaling. Now what's going on? What caused all of this? Naruto said, getting the short story. We were improving our device that allowed for fossil restoration, and during the time this group in red suits came in and started taking fossils, research notes, and were close to taking our device before we got them to run off after they took some of my researchers in the process, he said, making Naruto narrow his eyes. Naruto, that's the group who put that device on me in Lumio City and made me go on a rampage, Zoran said, making him go wide-eyed at the reminder. Do you know where they went? He said, getting a nod from the man. Yes, they went to the glittering cave on Route 9, although I don't understand why it's a deep cave where we find the fossils, he said, confused. It might have something to do with the researchers, Naruto said, getting a confused glance from the others. What makes you say that, Naruto? Iris asked, getting a shrug. I don't know, but it makes the most sense in a way because the researchers know what's down there, and by extension they could get as many fossils as they can get their hands on for whatever they're planning, Naruto said, getting a nod from the others. But what? Serena asked, getting a shrug from the others. We won't know until we get the researchers out of there and stop this group, Kushina said, getting a nod from the others as they ran out the building hearing Michael give his thanks. Oh, glittering cave. Oh. So Naruto, you've been here before, you know how deep this cave goes? Iris asked, getting a sigh as they walked through the mouth of the cave. It's been a while since I've been here, but I believe there is at least 2 floors and no other exit besides the one behind us, Naruto said, crouching down before his eyes gave off a light blue glow like his body did before it expanded outwards. His control over his aura has grown, I can feel it even in the depths of the cave, Kushina thought to Iris and the others, who mentally nodded. Yes, he has improved since he first started learning with his Lucario Kagutsuchi, Skyla thought in addition as they waited for Naruto. As he stood up, he said, well, we can expect to deal with at least 19 people down there and 10 of them are the group that took them. How do you know? Viola asked, getting a contemplative look from Naruto. I know because I used aura to kinda do what the bat Pokemon do to bounce my aura around the cave, saturating it in the cave to further perform the echolocation to reach further down in the cave to expand the field of my sight to show me the people and Pokemon down there, Naruto said as Viola and Serena had question marks over their heads. I used my aura to see where they are and how many there are, Naruto simplified, getting a nod from the others. So what is the plan, Naruto? Viola asked as they walked further into the cave. Reaching the way to the lower floor, Naruto said, well, there are 8 of us and 9 of them, so it's easier if we take out the groups in pairs and corner the last one and get some answers. So who goes with who? Ash stated as they all looked between each other waiting for someone to speak up. How about we do it like this? Group 1 will be Ash and Viola, Group 2 will be Iris and Skyla, Group 3 will be Serena and Elisa, while the last group is me and Naruto. Does that work out for everyone? Kushina said, getting a nod from everyone, while Skyla and Elisa shot her a subtle glare which she returned with a smug grin. Alright, let's get a move on and stop these guys, Ash said, getting a nod from the others as they ran to the second floor. Oh, you did that on purpose, didn't you? Skyla said to Kushina, mentally getting a fake hurt expression. Why, I don't know what you're talking about and I'm hurt. You would think I'd do such a thing. Now if you will excuse us, my Naruto and I are going to deal with a couple of upstarts, she responded as Naruto and Kushina reached the lower floor, ignoring the heated words from Skyla and Elisa. Oh, glittering cave, lower floor. Oh. So Naruto, any ideas on how to proceed? Kushina asked, grabbing a Pokeball from her belt like Naruto did. I was going to suggest we attract one of us, gets their attention while the other gets the researchers to the upper floor and come back down to help out, he said, getting a nod from her. When I get their attention, I want you to wait a moment until they're focused on me. After that happens, that's your cue to sneak them past those goons, he said as she nodded, watching Naruto walk out. Yo, freaks in red, ain't it a bit early for Halloween? Naruto said out loud, getting the 2 red goons to turn to him. What did you say? The man in the group said, getting a snort. Sorry, I guess those outfits are so loud you lost your hearing. I mean, really, red leather and red hair. I may have no sense of style, but at least I dress better than that, Naruto said with a grin, getting a glare from the 2 behind their glasses as Naruto peeked from the side of his glasses, seeing Kushina walk along the side of a moving cart being pushed by a researcher who she gave the signal to be silent. Look, let's be serious. How about you wannabe villains get out of here before things get nasty? I'm sure my friends have already dealt with a bulk of your no-named group, Naruto said, seeing smoke come from their ears. We're Team Flare, not some no-named group, you snot-nosed brat. The girl said, getting an uninterested nod from Naruto. Right, Team Fail, I'm sorry, I'll remember it for later, Naruto said, getting a glare from the 2. Team Flare. The 2 yelled in synchrony as Naruto yawned, seeing the researchers that they were guarding follow Kushina as they ducked behind another cart filled with fossils as they walked past them. Team Dare, Naruto said uninterestedly with a blank expression as the 2 tossed out their Pokemon. Pangoro. Type: Dark Fighting. LV. 34. Gender: Male. Krogunk. Type: Poison Fighting. LV. 36. Gender: Female. Let's show this upstart, the owner of Pangoro said as the 2 fighting types roared in agreement. Integra, show them what's what, Naruto said, tossing Integra's Pokeball. Integra. Quilladin. Type: Grass. LV. 30. Gender: Female. Integra, we're buying the others time to stall as long as you can and start things off by hitting them both with Aerial Ace, he said as she nodded, streaking through the air, striking the 2. Don't just take that. Krogunk, use Venoshock, its owner said. Help her out with Sludge Bomb, Pangoro's owner commanded as the 2 shot out a series of poisonous attacks. Send those back with Psychic Grumpig, they heard, seeing the attacks stop short of hitting Integra as the 2 attacks were shot back at the owners, making them fly back. Turning to the voice, he and Integra turned to see Kushina and her Grumpig run until they were next to them. Grumpig. Type: Psychic. LV. 34. Gender: Male. Did you get everyone out of there? Naruto asked, getting a nod from Kushina. Yeah, I did, and I saw Skyla and the others get the rest out of here before they came back in. I'm slightly surprised, though, you're usually quick with these things, she said, curious. Yeah, but I also know you like to get some action in as well, he said before his eyes widened. Integra, quick, use Power Up Punch on Pangoro and send it back. he said as she nodded, smashing her fist into Pangero's stomach, making it slid back. Grumpig use Psyshock on Krogunk. Kushina said as the pig shot a psychic wave at the poison type, making it cry out as it crashed into Pangero as the two passed out. Calling their Pokemon back, the two ran out of the cave when Ash and the others came to them. "Did you guys get everyone out of here?" Naruto asked, getting a nod when they heard clapping, making them turn. Clapping her hands was a woman wearing a white suit and skirt with red leggings with white heels, while the shirt under the suit jacket was white. The tie was red as she wore a pair of red sunglasses. "I must say, for you all to get rid of my team, I'm honestly surprised, to say the least," she said, putting them all on edge. "Who are you and what was the purpose of coming down here?" Ash demanded, getting a fake laugh from the woman. "Quite the mouth on you, boy, but I don't have time to waste on children. But if you're curious on what our purpose was for being down here, it's for the purpose of recreating the events of 3,000 years ago," she said before tossing down a flash grenade. As the light faded, no longer obscuring their view, her voice echoed before fading, "And nobody will stop us from achieving our goal." Gushi got away, and what do they mean recreating the events of 3,000 years ago? Viola asked, getting a sigh from the others as they shrugged. "I don't know at the moment, but for now let's head back up and check on everyone at the research facility," Naruto said, getting a nod from the others as they made their Pokemon return to their balls before heading out. "Oh, Amber at Fossil Research Site. Oh, thank you all so much for getting them back safe and sound," Michael said with an appreciative air about him. "No problem, Michael the First, just wish we could have gotten the fossils they excavated from the cave. Do any of you know what that woman meant by recreating the events of 3,000 years ago?" Naruto asked, getting a negative. "Oh, Naruto, did you come down here to get those fossils restored?" Michael asked, getting a nod from the redhead. "Yeah, but after all the hectic events that transpired, I feel it would be best to put that on hold until tomorrow," Naruto said, getting an appreciative nod from the others. "We can start today and be finished by tomorrow afternoon if that's fine with you, Naruto," Michael said, getting a nod from Naruto. "That's perfect, see you then, Michael," Naruto said, waving as he and the others walked out of the facility. Pokemon Center. Alright everyone, dinner's ready," Naruto said, putting everyone's Pokemon food down for them to eat while everyone else ate some sandwiches and soup Naruto made. "I forgot how good of a cook you were, bro," Skyla said with a grin, finishing her fourth sandwich and second bowl of soup as the others nodded. "So Naruto, how many badges do you and Ash have so far?" Elisa asked as the two pulled out their cases, showing they have Viola's badge. "Naruto and I both have only Viola's badge. We train a bit along the way, practicing and trying to make our Pokemon stronger to fight the gym leaders we'll be facing Grant next in 2 days after Naruto revives the fossils," Ash said, getting a nod from the three women. "That is our brother's style, work his Pokemon over, getting them to improve and make them grow stronger. I bet by the time you all get to the 6th gym all of your Pokemon will be fully evolved, or at the least nearly all of them," Elisa said as Naruto chuckled sheepishly. "Hey Naruto, I remember you saying yesterday you were going to go ahead of us after the 2nd gym. You still going to?" Serena said, getting a nod from him. "Yeah, Ash and I are both intending to go all the way to the league after all, but we can't really make it a challenge if the two of us know every Pokemon the other has, if we're there every step. Besides, I have a lot of side trips to make and Pokemon I want to catch," Naruto said, getting a grin from Ash. "So you're going to make this a challenge for the both of us? I don't know what you'll have and you won't know what I have," Ash said, getting a nod as the two bumped fists. "Well, if you are going solo for a bit, Naruto, why don't we join you?" Kushina said stoically, getting a curious expression. "But don't you have your circuit as a coordinator, and Elisa and Skyla have their jobs as gym leaders to focus on?" Naruto said, getting a shake of the head from the three. "Nah, I'm on a small break from my coordinator career," Kushina said, getting a nod from her son. "And the gyms all over Unova are being maintained for upkeep due to some small problems that's going to take the entire league, so we're free since my plane is under some very much needed repairs and Elisa is on a much needed reprieve from her fashion shoots," Skyla explained, getting a shocked look. "What happened to your plane?" Naruto said, worried his sister got hurt some time ago. "Nothing to worry about, little bro, it's just the girl needed to get some new parts to replace the old ones, and getting the parts alone is going to take some time and the fixing will take the rest of the time as well," Skyla said, getting a sigh from her brother. "At least nothing horrible happened," Naruto said, getting a nod from the others before yawned. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to call it a night, folks. See you in the morning, Naruto said, wishing the other good night before heading to the room he got from Nurse Joy as the others went to their rooms. Oh, Naruto's room. Oh. You did smell that scent again, didn't you, Naruto? Chris said through their connection, getting a nod from Naruto as he laid in his bed. Yeah, I did. Do you think they're the same as Iris and possibly Serena? He said, getting a nod from the others in their balls. I have no doubt that they and possibly every other woman you know are legendaries. It just makes me wonder why take human form and not interact with you as their original forms, Chris said, getting a shrug from the others. I don't know, but for now I'm exhausted and I can use some sleep. See you girls in the morning, Naruto said, getting a friendly exchange from the others. About to close his eyes, he heard a knock on his door, making him get from under his sheets, wearing a pair of sweatpants, scratching his head as he opened his door to see Skyla wearing an oversized shirt with her hair down. Elisa, on the other hand, wore a pair of yellow boy shorts and tank top with her hair undone. Wah, Skyla, Elisa, what are you two doing up? He asked, yawning as the two fidgeted. We were wondering if we can sleep with you, Skyla said, making him raise an eyebrow. It's been a while since we've last slept with you and it's kinda hard sleeping as Elisa explained, getting a blank expression from their younger brother. Fine, you can sleep with me tonight, Naruto said, letting out a long yawn before he turned back to the bed and took his space back in the middle while Elisa took his right side, nuzzling her head into the crook of his neck. Skyla took the left, doing the same with his left side before the two took an arm and placed them between their breasts while their legs became a tangled mess. Night, Naruto, Skyla said, squeezing tighter as Elisa said the same, letting sleep claim them. Thanks.